Good evening and welcome to another episode of the Same Old Arsenal. We've got something special for you tonight, guys. We have got some transfer talk. We are not available on deadline day, so I thought we'd do it a few days earlier just to have a chat about what we've done, what we think we're going to do, how much left is there to do, who's still left to go out the door, what do we think is going to happen. Probably not a lot now in this football club. However, I'm your host for this evening, Dan Potts, and I'm delighted to be welcoming lots of guests. We're going to start with the same old Arsenal lot, and we are going to invite guests on one by one to have 15, 20 minutes of their say. Joining me this evening is Mr. Shade Chaser himself, Mr. Mark Partridge. Mark, how you doing, mate?
Great, excited. Good to be here. Good show, good lineup. Big Nigel's on the show.
Big Nigel is on the show, indeed. Mr. Nigel Plum. Nigel, how you doing, mate?
I'm doing right. Thanks, Dan.
Good man. Thanks for coming on, mate. It's rare to get you on, so it's always good to get you on, mate.
My pleasure, mate.
Good man. And last of all, Mr. Harry Simeon. Harry, how you doing, mate?
Look at the disappointment in his voice. Look at the disappointment in his voice. You can call. Here we go. There you go. This is Dan's gift to me. Right. This is doing the. Yeah, exactly, man. How unenthusiastic can you be? Jesus. No, how you doing, mate?
I'm all good, man. I'm all good. Mine's not out of the box, man. Mine's staying in because I've got to try and get it sent back out to wherever the hell it came from. But do you know what? I must say this, since we both got these, he ain't playing too badly. So maybe it's the omen that was needed.
See what I mean? You can't even say he's played well. You have to say not too badly. I mean, come on, Dan. Just give the guy some credit, man.
Listen, I said it on the WhatsApp group and I'll say it again. He is a man who comes out of jail and then goes and robs a bank, Granit Xhaka, because you know he is waiting to hack someone, get sent off, view something as a liability, pass the ball back to the goalkeeper and it go wrong. I'm waiting for it, Harry, and I'll come on here, rubbing my hands together, waiting to hear what you've got to say. So you can have your time now, Mr. Harry Simeon. We'll see what happens. We have been here so many times. Anyways, Harry, we're going to start with you.
After all of that.
I know. In all seriousness, you are the journalist amongst us. The transfer window is always a busy time for yourself and many other people. What's been going on? What do you think of the window so far? Thoughts generally, first of all, mate?
I think it was always going to be a difficult window for Arsenal because obviously Arsenal as a football club in the last couple of seasons have not been in the greatest financial state, but also you got to take into account the effects of the global pandemic. I know people will sit there and go, the Premier League clubs are fine. They've got all the TV money coming in. Actually, when you plan to spend whatever amount of money over a course of the season and all of a sudden one of your biggest revenue streams disappears, then it's a problem. And Arsenal and Spurs are the two clubs who bring in the most match day revenue in terms of ticket sales and stuff because of the size of their stadiums, because they're both based in London. And so they're two clubs that have been really badly hit. So for me, I think, you know, this window, you had to go into it with realistic expectations. And for me, actually, I'm delighted to see that Arsenal have been moving players out, because I think what that does is it sets the scene for the summer. What it does is it means we don't have to spend the first half of the summer transfer window dealing with those things. You know, I know that a lot of those players, their contracts expire and they'll be just going away. But, you know, just getting them off the thing now just clears that space and you can start properly planning from this time, which I think is really key. In terms of the players we've brought in, obviously Martin Odegaard going to come in and back up Emile Smith-Rowe, maybe even will take his place for a while, you know, and we've seen with Emile Smith-Rowe, there's injury concerns. So if we're going to end up having both of them, then great, because I think we're going to need them. We've got games coming thick and fast. I think he's a young, hungry player with a real point to prove. He wants to prove to Real Madrid that they're wrong to be overlooking him. And I think that this move suits him and it suits us down to a T. And then, of course, Matty Ryan, that one came out of nowhere. Literally, none of us, you know, some people had spoken about it in kind of like casual terms, but then all of a sudden Arsenal just announced it was done and we were like, what? So, you know, we've done that. Again, it's probably a very smart piece of business. If he comes in, if he does okay as the number 2 and he impresses the club, of course, at the end of this season, Matty Ryan becomes a free agent. so you can snap him up on a free transfer. So Arsenal kind of being clever there. I think they're looking at the kind of longer term with Matty Ryan. I think he's 28, which is not old at all for a goalkeeper. He's got plenty of experience. He's played in Spain. He's played in Australia. He's played here in the Premier League. He's an Australian international as well. He's played at World Cups. So he's got plenty of experience. I think the window's been okay for Arsenal in terms of what I think is going to happen for the rest of it. You know, we know that Arsenal are looking at bringing in a left back, but as I've kind of been saying on my podcast over the last couple of weeks, it's all about opportunity. If the right opportunity comes along, I think Arsenal will act. But if it doesn't, perhaps the performances of Cedric in the last couple of games may have gone a long way in persuading Mikel that although there is a need to bring in another left back, maybe it's not quite as urgent as he first thought.
Yeah, I think pretty spot on with what you're saying in terms of what we're linked with, Harry. Before I move to Nigel and to Mark, it is time to introduce my first guest. Now, my favourite ever player is Ian Wright, but some would say the best player was Dennis Bergkamp, and that is the link to this podcast panelist, a huge fan of the show, and I'm a huge fan of his podcast, and it is Danny from Bergkamp Wonderland. How the devil are you, mate?
Hey, Dan.
I've not really been awake for 17 minutes.
I text him. He goes, just woke up. Cheers, Dan. You woke me up and reminded me. How you doing, Danny?
My mum's fault. She come round to do my bins and stuff because I can't. So I had my alarm set for 3, and she come round and she didn't wake me up.
Oh, mate, what a mum's
Oh,
fault.
it's half 6. How is everyone? Nice to see some happy faces.
Yeah, good to see you. too,
Yeah,
Dan.
well, we're all
Good,
happy after last night, Danny. Danny, I'll bring you on in a minute. I'm going to go over to Nigel. Nigel, one player that Harry does mention that was quite a shock to us all was Matt Ryan. Now, I know you and your brother are into goalkeeping, so what did you make of the Matt Ryan signing, my friend?
Well, I was like Harry said, I was quite surprised when I heard we signed him. So it just came out of just completely nowhere. And I literally checked my phone on Saturday morning. It came up and we signed Matt Ryan on loan to the end of the season. I thought, whoa, that's come out of completely nowhere. And as Harry said, I totally agree with Harry. That's a very shrewd move by Arsenal to get him in on loan for the rest of the season. And as he said, he'll be a free agent in the summer. Then if he is a good backup, then we might be able to get him on the free in the summer. Yeah, I thought, wow, for that come out completely nowhere.
It really did, and it was something that I just did not see coming at all.
No,
And
I didn't see that coming at all.
No, and I think it was Harry who put it on our WhatsApp group.
Yeah.
Said, we just saw Matt Ryan. The journalist must have been asleep that day. He really must have, because I did not see that coming.
No, I didn't see it coming.
Didn't you hear? They were all the ITKs. They went off for a coffee from outside London Colney. They must have missed him being snuck in the back door.
Oh yeah, I heard that.
It seems that way, mate. It seems that way.
Does.
Mark, let's bring you in. You said a bit last night about the Martin Ødegaard, if I've said that right, signing. You weren't too keen on it, mate. It is a risk, but could this be good business for Arsenal, or do you just think this could be another waste of a loan deal, Mark?
Well, look, you said I'm not too keen on it. Wasn't it? I'm not too keen on it. I was asked by our illustrious leader, Craig, if I was excited. I'm not. And I stand by that. But Harry has reassured me that this guy's got huge potential. And let's be honest, it's well documented. And you know, he has got huge potential. And one day it could potentially click and blah, blah, blah. But my concern, I was asked first and foremost, was I excited? No. I get excited when Aubameyang signs. I get excited when Thomas Partey signs. I don't get excited when we sign an unproven teenager, a squad filler. Okay, so I'm not excited by it, but I understand the business. And Harry explained it beautifully, and it makes perfect sense to all of us. You know, it's a very limited loan fee, and the guy's going to come in and get some football time. I hope he's not going to get some football time at the expense of our youngsters. Now, Emile Smith-Rowe got injured last night. What should have happened is he should have been rested on Saturday, so he didn't get injured in the cup Oh no, he was rested. That's right. He's still got injured. So the rotation doesn't always work. Your best laid plans can sometimes come to fruition. I don't believe anyone was rested, by the way, in the FA Cup final, in the FA Cup game. I just believe he put out a team to win, and he did, and they didn't miss chances. But a great performance last night, and the signing today is a good one because we need the fillers. So yes, he's got huge potential, and we hope he comes on board and plays football. And, he plays football the Arsenal way. You know, he's a silky kind of player, isn't he? A creative kind of player. So we're excited about that, aren't we? And that's fantastic. But I'd just like to finish by saying, you know, best wishes to the Aubameyang family and his mother. You know, that's news is breaking today. We knew something was wrong, and so the clarity is appreciated, and we wish them all well.
100%, and well said, Mark. Too right. Be great to see Aubameyang back in an Arsenal shirt and hopefully in a better headspace. Danny, let's bring you in. Martin Ødegaard, what do you make of this signing? I spoke to you a bit on Friday when you're on the show about the potential of it, and I'm okay with this signing. I'm okay with it personally. What about yourself?
I'm more than okay. I'm very happy about it. He's one of those handful of wonder kids that is just signed up by, like, you know, like in the olden days when Arsenal were half decent, we had money before we had to get all the loans. He's one of those players that they've gone and snapped up. There was another one that's just been given a free transfer by Barcelona who's gone to Birmingham. And a young Croatian bloke, Aru, now I'm talking about, and so many of these wonder kids, and they all signed up really early, and then they're just not used. They're just going, oh, they're shiny. I want all the shiny things, and they take all the shiny things, and they go. They have 3 or 4 managers, and they don't want them, and then they get loaned out. But you just look at his loans when he was at Vitesse Arnhem, and they finished quite high up in the table. And Vitesse Arnhem aren't a team that usually does well in the Eredivisie. And 8 goals and 10 assists. Now, that's a half-decent league full of really decent young players. And then last season, to be at Sociedad, 4 goals and 6 assists, which I'm sure someone's already said. Considering the bloke is only, was he 22? Yeah, he's 22 years old. He's a wee nipper of a lad. He's got so much potential. And if Haaland is coming out and saying that big things are going to happen with him at Arsenal, then hopefully, if he's got all the skills, then he might even stay, because that's yet another player. His predominant player position is, as we know, is attacking midfield. He's left-footed. He can play on the left side. He can play on the right side. He's another player like Saka. So when he's playing, it's going to be even more trouble for the opposition to go, well, who are we going to mark? Because it's not going to be like the olden days where you go, this player plays in one position. Like you always knew that that Perez is probably going to play on the left, and Ljungberg is only really going to play on the right. Occasionally they'd swap over, or Bergkamp is only really going to play in the middle. These lot, they're going to be all over the place. They're going to be turning people inside out, as we've seen with Saka and with Pepe last night. They just swap sides, and then you're going, oh, it's such a headache to defend against. And he's got so much potential, and he's obviously played 25 games for Norway. Now, Norway may not be one of the greatest European sides there are, but when you've got people like him and Haaland playing together, it's just magnificent. I'm so excited to see another young prospect coming through. And like Mikel said in one of his in the press conference last night, he said, these young players, I cannot and I will not, that isn't verbatim, but he's not going to play them every game, 50 games a season, because you can't, because they get broken, which is why we're bringing in another left back until Joel Lopez is ready. But I'm just really excited about it. An attacking, creative, young, full of spunk, as we would say in the olden days, young man.
I use that one. Yeah, Danny, I understand why you're excited, and good reference to the Joel Lopez one there, because you are a big fan of him coming through at left back, aren't you? So let's see how good he can be. Moving on to Harry, I've been asked. Dan, ask Harry how to pronounce this name. He's had lessons. Go for it, Harry.
So it's supposed to be Ødegaard. That's how you're supposed to say it, Ødegaard. So the 2 A's in Norwegian makes an O sound, apparently. So I spoke to a really good friend of mine yesterday on a podcast he's a Norwegian journalist, but he's also fluent in Spanish and covers La Liga in Norway. He's all over the TV over there. His name's Jonas Giæver. Check him out on Twitter. He's so good to follow. He gives you so much information, and he joined me to talk about it. And I said Ødegaard, and I thought, I've got this spot on. I've got this nailed. And he's like, the first 2 minutes of the show, he's like, actually, Harry, you're wrong. And I was,
do you know what? I was saying Martin Ødegaard, then it was Ødegaard, because I was told it was Mesut Ozil, and now it's Ødegaard. So there we go.
I'm sure that they will. I had to get a mate of mine Christopher Highland, who's Norwegian, had to get him, and he sent me a thing listen carefully. This is how you say it. And he's also done Harvard Nordveld and Paul Iderson as well, just in case for the old people. So he's told me he's going to send me a WhatsApp message how to do all of them. So,
whatever happened to him? Harvard Nordveld. Whatever happened to him?
He's in Germany.
Borussia Mönchengladbach.
Yeah, Gladbach. Yeah,
highly rated, wasn't he?
Well,
he's done all right over there. It's not been too bad.
Didn't he come to West Ham for a while?
He did. He went to West Ham for a season, but never really made it. Harry, we'll stay with you, though. This signing, what have you heard from your sources about this kid? Because I've heard different things. I've heard he was a wonder kid that was never really going to make it. I've heard there's lots of injury problems. I've heard that his time at Sociedad was okay. I've heard that his time at Sociedad was great. What's your say on this one, mate?
I think he's undoubtedly a massive talent and has been for years. You know, he was recognised at a very young age. He spoke about it in his interview with Arsenal today that he visited the club when he was 15. He trained with the club a little bit as well. There was a potential of him joining Arsenal in the past. It might be 7 years later, but we've finally got our man. But at the time, Real Madrid were interested, and I think it's understandable that a young kid, would be pulled by Real Madrid, and that his father or whoever it was that was kind of guiding him, advising him, would have felt that a move to the Bernabeu was something that he couldn't turn down. So completely understand why he went there. Unfortunately, from what I've been told, and I refer to what Jonas told me again, I'm not claiming this to be my information, but Jonas said the reality is that although he's a very good young talent, he just hasn't been up to the level of a Luka Modric at Real Madrid, and that's made it difficult for Zinedine Zidane to play him regularly. He went out on loan to Real Sociedad, and initially that loan deal was supposed to be a 2-year loan deal. He was supposed to join them for a couple of seasons, but because Real Madrid found themselves in a spot of bother financially, they couldn't go out and bring players in. I think, if I'm not mistaken, they haven't signed a player in 18 months, which for Real Madrid is unheard of. So they pulled him back. They brought him back to the Bernabeu, and unfortunately, the game time's been very limited again. He was said to be, wanting to go back there again. Apparently, Sociedad wanted a option to buy clause, and Real Madrid weren't having that. You've also got to consider as well that given Atletico Madrid look as though they might run away with La Liga this season, Real Madrid and Real Sociedad could be competing for a Champions League spot this season. And so apparently that was another reason why Real Madrid were, although Ødegaard will say that he wanted to join Arsenal and Arsenal was the first choice, I do feel like Real Madrid kind of pushed him that way as well, because they were willing to have that deal done, maybe not so willing to do a deal with Sociedad on the terms that they wanted. Sociedad brought David Silva in this summer as well, who's doing very, very well. So he would have been an addition. Maybe he felt at Arsenal that he'd get a little bit, he'd be ahead of Emile Smith-Rowe. Maybe he's easier to get ahead of than David Silva is. I don't know. But there is, that's kind of what I'm led to believe. So I think he will come in here with a point to prove it. I'm really looking forward to seeing it. But, he's spoken about the influence of Mikel Arteta and his conversation with him. And I think you have to give Arteta credit here, because although he gets a lot of stick for certain things and people talk about his man management not being great, what he can do is he can talk well. And we all saw it in his first press conference, didn't we? Even those of us that maybe weren't keen on him being appointed, the minute he sat in front of the press, all of us went, wow, this guy talks a good game. And I think he's done that to get this signing over the line. I think he did it with Thomas Partey. I think he did it with Gabriel, someone who was linked to a number of clubs. So Mikel Arteta has shown that he's got a pull on players as well, which is encouraging.
Yeah, it is. And I must admit, as much as I'm not totally convinced in what I'm seeing on the pitch, the ins and the outs have been impressive. So I give full credit to Arteta and their do so far, because they've got more right than wrong. Nigel, coming to you on the Martin Ødegaard signing. Do you believe, should I say, that we will see him play more than Emile Smith-Rowe, or do you think Arteta will give it a fair balance between the two?
I'd say that's very hard to say, and I think that he might, as you said, Dan, if he might give him a fair go, like maybe play Smith-Rowe in the league and Ødegaard. I think that's how.
Well done, Nigel. Well done.
Yeah, listen to Harry there, and play him in the Europa League. maybe, or maybe sort of split between the two, possibly.
I think you're
I think
right.
it's going to be very tough. It's a very tough call for Mikel. I think I would not like to be in his position to do that.
Well, it's a good decision for him to have, isn't it? To have both of those.
Yeah, definitely.
Let's hope that they're both in good form.
Yeah.
That's what we need to see. Mark, it's a position that I feel we need, and certainly a backup goalkeeper. Do you expect Mikel Arteta and Edu to do much more business in this window in the next few days?
We hope so, don't we? We hope so. There's a few spaces. We talked earlier about the left back. Cedric, he was outstanding last night, and I think that needs to be said. But also in the defeat in the FA Cup, everything Southampton done well come down his side. So, but you can't, the balance of the team maybe was wrong. Maybe Gabriel didn't give him the support he needed. Hence the reason he was dropped. Jury's out on Gabriel. Every time he seems to play, we seem to lose at the minute. Or certainly the last couple of times he's played, we've lost. But yeah, no, I don't know. Realistically, no, we're not going to be spending big dough, are we? That's a dream, isn't it? But I think it's off the table. Awar is still their long-term target. We believe, we understand, but we haven't got the money, and Lyon are not going to release him for cheap. They're hold steadfast in his value. So there's other rumours of what we're looking at. It's obvious what we need, but if we brought this young lad in, and we've got Smith Rowe, we've got Saka and Willian and Pepe, and if you was to bring anybody in now to that squad, would it stifle their opportunities? Would it do so? Would it have a negative impact? We definitely need a left back. That is, I think that's true. I do believe that's true, and there's still the option to cash in, isn't there, on Bellerin, and still outstanding is to make the Niles, which is turning into an issue. I think we all keep saying, "Oh, it's okay, isn't it?" But it's not okay, is it, for a guy who's banging on the door of the England team and has never let us down? Let's be honest. And he seems like a good pro and a good athlete and a good footballer. That issue, is he our asset that we sell to? I don't know, some Euro Championships coming up. So there could be one or two more outgoings, but I don't expect any big incomings. I think Arsenal are doing the right thing. They've closed ranks, and people are just arriving, when they're signed, when the deal's over the line, and that's the right way to go about business.
Fair play, Mark. Danny, before we let you go, because I know you're going over to another pod soon, very soon. What do you think for this window? Is there much business left to do? You talk about a left back. You're a big fan of Joel Lopez. I know that we've been with Tyreek Mitchell and also Ryan Bertrand, who are both out of contract in the summer. And Mark's talking about a left back. Do you think that we'll do much more business, or do you think that it's pretty much done with the Ødegaard and Matt Ryan signing?
Well, I would have said that it looks like that Arteta wants another left back, but with the performances of Cedric, the ability to play as a left back, left wing back, right wing back, he may have altered his plans, because why bring in another player? Because whoever comes in is going to know they're second place behind Tierney, because there's no fullback in the world other than maybe one kicking his heels at Liverpool who is going to be able to do what Tierney does for us. The rest of them are going to come in as proper fullbacks or wing backs. So he'll be looking at that and going, I may well have saved myself a fortune here, which is really important. We do know that, since the Premier League has started, is a good stat for you. I've worked it out. We've had 17 players on loan, and 6 of those have been in the last 2 transfer windows. 6 in the last year since Arteta's been there. He had 1 when he got there, plus he's got another 5 already. And so that's for Arsenal to use the loan window. I think loads of clubs are doing that now, because so many players are bought in by other managers, and then the managers get sacked, or the players aren't working out. They want to loan them out because they can't do it. I remember a few years ago when I think it was I think AC Milan bought Torres and loaned him out immediately, or Chelsea bought him, or there's some combination where they loaned him out for 2 years. I remember thinking then, you can't buy a player and immediately loan him out for 2 years. Turns out they did. And Yeah, so I don't really think Ryan Bertrand is too good to come in and just be a backup left back. He's got ambition. I think he's made it clear that he wants to leave Southampton, and if he does, I mean, he spent ages on when he was at Chelsea. I looked the other day. I think he had 7 loans while he was at Chelsea. He's not the kind of player that is going to go, well, I'm going to go and have another loan and be back out to someone else. I really don't think he's going to come in. And as for getting somebody else in, that was, you said there's one at Reading or QPR, a young man.
Reading, Michael someone? Michael,
yeah,
what's
really
his surname? Beginning with O. Can't remember.
Yeah.
Do you know that one, Harry? No, he's youngster. Say it in the chat. Say it in the chat. I'm sure there's someone will know. You might be right.
I think there was another one that had been at Chelsea, and he's got a very short term left on his contract where he is at the moment, and he looks pretty good. But people, I mean, I've seen Joel Lopez play once, but George Bird, who really knows what he's on about, really rates this kid.
Michael Elise. Elise,
yes.
Am I saying that right? Elise. There we go.
Well, we know what you mean. So I don't think we've got the money. I don't think we really need anyone else. We've worked so hard to get rid of so many of the Bundesliga bastards, as I like to call them. They're nearly all gone. We've only got Mustafi, bless his socks. It looked like his career was turning around at Arsenal. We've only got him to get rid of. And then I think Guendouzi fighting with his teammates. Have you covered that yet? Yeah, I think he had a teammate. But did he have a fight, Harry?
Apparently so. He's falling out with Hertha Berlin now, hasn't he?
That was the headline, but when you actually watch it, it was more of a passionate conversation as they were walking back out onto the pitch after our time.
Passionate conversation. Is that what they say?
Well, the waving of the arms, like this, what you get from Guendouzi, and then the other player was doing it back. That's all it was.
Gesticulation.
Yeah.
So he didn't
European
go
talk.
on him, chokeslam him.
Listen, he's a great player, Guendouzi, but some of his attitude is questionable. I love it. I love passion, and that's what I want to see on a pitch. But I think he will probably be, if Arteta stays, then I don't think Guendouzi will be coming back. Guys, I have some more guests waiting in the wings. Danny, I'm going to let you go. Where are you going to? People are asking in the chat, where is Danny off to? Where's your next podcast, man?
I have gone to the graveyard and I have dug up Daniel from Gunnersapp podcast. James was meant to be there as well, but I couldn't get. He's not well, so that's going to be me and Daniel Cameron just having a chat for an hour because a lot of youth systems have let me down. James has let me down, but he's allowed to because he's Bristolian with that lovely accent. So it's me and Daniel Cowan. Won't be live though. We don't. We like to concentrate and. I get too many things wrong when I have to press all the buttons and talk. It's too complicated for me.
I think we're all a bit like that, to be honest with you. Danny, absolute pleasure having you on as always, mate.
Thanks for asking me. See you later, everyone.
See you, mate.
See you, Dan. Take care,
Bye.
mate.
Cheers.
Harry, let's come to you, man. Thanks for coming on as ever. Where can people follow you, mate? Are you doing anything this evening, tomorrow? What are you up to on the Chronicles, mate?
I'm having an evening off tonight. I'm going to go and sit and pour myself a glass of wine and watch the rest of the football. The Chronicles will be back tomorrow. We put out 2 shows today. One shortly after the announcement of Martin Ødegaard, as you're supposed to say it, and also our members video this week, which was the interview with Jonas Jävar. We've released that to everyone now, so you can catch that if you want to get a bit more information and some lessons on how to say his name properly. So yeah, check that out. Cheers, mate.
Thank you very much, Harry. Top man. Mark, as always, absolute pleasure to have you on. Go and follow Mark at Shade Chaser 1.
Don't bother.
Or don't bother, like Mark says. He's not really doing it for follows, mate. How many followers you got now? 80, 90?
No,
I don't care.
Don't follow me. Boring. Anyway, ta-da. Thanks for coming. See you later. Bye now.
Good to see you, Mark, as ever. Top lad. Nigel. Absolute legend. I will speak to you very, very soon, mate.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
See you later, mate.
Absolute hero, man. You take it easy.
Take it easy.
I'm going to welcome Scunny to the show. Scunny, how are you, my friend?
I'm good, mate. Thanks for the invite.
Yeah, man, it's good to see you on. We've got 2 of your friends waiting in the wings. Let's bring you all in together, shall we?
2?
Mr. Fergus Keating is in the house. How you doing, Ferg?
I'm fine, mate. I just make sure that there's nobody behind the door creeping in behind me and doing a bit of that behind me. So like Nige had earlier on.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. And we have Mr. Trev Hill. Gooner Hills, he's in the house. How you doing, Trev?
You could have told me I was on with these 2, Dan. I wouldn't have bothered, mate.
You're my yin and I'm your yang.
Transfer Trev.
How are you?
Man, I'm very good, and it's good to see you.
Can we leave behind now, Scummy, please?
We moved on from that, have we? I am also joined by someone who's going to join me for the rest of the night, but was a little bit late as always because he was on another podcast. Mr. Lee Judges.
Oi, oi.
How you doing, Judge?
Where am I? I'm not on. Oh, I've gone over. Hey, we're doing. You all right? Yeah, all good, all good.
Yeah.
All right, Trev, I like that tracksuit, mate. That's top quality.
Thanks, mate. Cheers, mate. Let me get rid of my charge lead over my shoulder. How's that? That's not covering the badge up there. That's better.
There we go.
How we doing, guys? All right?
Really special. Yeah, all good. Cheers, Judge. Good to see you, and thanks very much for coming on, mate. Thank you all for coming on. It's a nice little crossover. Same old Arsenal and Guns and Yellow Ribbons. That is a really nice crossover. Fergus, we'll start with you, mate. What is going on? Oh, and Arse Bros. Sorry, Scunny. We'll start with you, Ferg. Me and you share some reliable info or fairly reliable info in terms of sources, but it's not really been a very busy window. We've got Martin Ødegaard, who we've just been speaking about, and also Matt Ryan. What have you made of the window so far, buddy?
I think, like we've said in some of the WhatsApp groups that we're in, yes, the loan signings are good because of financial reasons that Harry talked about earlier. I think it's more about who's gone. For Ozil to go, for Klasniak to go, and soon Mustafi to go. I think that's probably the most important. Free up those spots for other players to come in, for youth players to come in. And if these loan signings, as in Sabias and Ødegaard, God, I'm going to struggle with that one, aren't I?
Ødegaard, apparently. Ødegaard.
Yeah.
Ødegaard.
You know, I don't know anything of him. I've heard he's been hurdy-gurdy. I've heard he's for Norwegian. Yeah, it's like the Swedish chef. Show my age now.
Ingrid.
Yeah, just stick to Martin.
Martin! Ingrid.
Oh, Fergus is frozen. Is he going to come back? It's normally you, Trev, who has the dodgy internet, but tonight you got a new laptop, mate. So let's come to you. Yeah. Trev, what have you made so far of the window, my friend?
I'm all right with it, mate. I've got a different laptop. I borrowed my son's laptop, but he neglected to tell me that it takes half an hour to boot up, Dan. So I'm sorry I'm a bit late on, mate. It's I'm struggling a bit. Yeah, I'm much like Fergus. I think it's more about who's gone than who's coming. I'm very happy with the clear out. Hope Mustafi joins them. All respect to them, but off they trot. It's the start of a new era. I don't think we need any of them. We've got still got 4 or 5 good centre backs, and you know, because Socrates and Mustafi are gone. So, and much like you boys, I don't know much about the Norwegian lads, so I'll have to just reserve comment. And hopefully, we've got a good one. I mean, everybody seems to be giving him the big up, don't they? So, hopefully, he'll settle in and hit the ground running.
Absolutely. We have another guest joining us. It is Daniel the Blind Gooner. Daniel, how you doing, my friend?
Yeah, not too bad, Dan. Not too bad, mate.
Good to see you. We're just talking about our amazing transfer activity, which has been non-stopped every single day. No, I'm joking. We've signed one player today, and we have got Matt Ryan. Daniel, let's come to you, and then I'll go back to Fergus if his internet's a bit better. Daniel, how's it been going for you in terms of this transfer window, mate?
It's a bit as to expected, really. You know, I didn't really expect much of incomings. You know, because we've had a lot of players on the wage books as it is. I expected more outgoings. I don't really know too much about this Ødegaard, or however you pronounce it.
Martin, Daniel, Martin.
Martin. Lee Judges just calls him Martin. That's
or OG for short. You know, yeah. I don't know. I don't really know too much about him, and I think we definitely needed a backup keeper. You know, Runarsson wasn't really cutting it. If we're being brutally honest, he's not really Arsenal quality, not really Premier League quality, if we're being honest. So having a backup keeper in Matt Ryan, which it left me scratching my head a bit because I wasn't expecting it. But yeah, I think we've done okay. I think it's more about setting the groundwork, setting the foundations for the summer transfer window, this window. So I don't really expect much more business to be done. I think it's just maybe trying to get one more player out the door and then I think our main big business is going to happen in the summer.
I think it's fair play, Daniel. Daniel, how can people come and follow yourself, mate, and subscribe to your channel, mate?
So yeah, my channel's the Blind Gooner, and it's on YouTube. I'm almost approaching 2,000 subscribers, and I've only had the channel a year. So yeah, that's good going. I've done a show with Harry earlier at 11:15 this morning, so that's up there. So yeah, that's the Blind Gooner. Do everybody give it a follow? Would really appreciate it.
Top man, please make sure everyone in the chat go and follow. As Craig has said in the chat, please go and subscribe to the Blind Gooner, Guns and Ribbons, Arse Brothers now. Show them some support. Please do that, guys. Great content from the people here. That squirrel is running as fast as it can, Fergus. Are you back on with us, mate?
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. I'll tell you what I might do. I might pick some of his hair off and burn it, and maybe give some more electricity, and might give me a better broadband connection. I can donate some to you, Lee, if you want. Do you want any?
Oh, he's gone there. He's gone there.
It's all going off.
It's a bit uncalled for, that, wasn't it? Hey? It's a bit uncalled for.
It's because you haven't been on with each other. You haven't been on with each other for a while, have you?
Yeah, we've been missing each other, mate.
I've got this light coming up below me. I keep looking down, wondering what it is, and I'll look at the screen. I'm sat above Lee's shiny head, don't I?
I thought I was looking in the mirror for a second. I'll say we don't.
Fergus, before your internet goes again.
I'll come on here, and Aston Villa will win 2-1. It's 3-2 now. Someone just put in there. Is that correct?
I've seen that. Is that actually correct? Can someone tell us in the chat what the Burnley Villa score is? Is it really 3-2? Unbelievable.
Yeah, because
anyway,
we've gone down to 6th. That might mean we've gone to 9th now. Then is that right? We're going up and down like a yo-yo.
Oh, we are. It's that close in it down there. It's unbelievable.
It's 3-2.
It is 3-2.
Yeah, we've gone up to 9th.
The game. I've missed that. We should have done the podcast another time. No, I'm joking. Fergus, let's come over to yourself. There you go. Ferg, come over to yourself. The Odegaard deal and the Danny Ceballos deal seems that we're doing quite a lot of business with Real Madrid, but they can't seem to get into their side. So do you think that the Danny Ceballos and Odegaard signings will be seen as a success for Arsenal, or do you think they'll both be seen as fairly risky?
Well, they're low risk, but they're not really successful either. I don't rate Ceballos. He's had 2 or 3 good games for us. His best game against Burnley last season. And sometimes he shows some promise, but other times not very much. Don't know about this young guy that, as I said before, my squirrel decided to go on strike. I know nothing of him. He was meant to be the new Messi, and he's not yet. But risk-wise, no, because we can just hand them back at the end of June. And we have no obligation to buy them. I don't think the Real Madrid will even entertain us buying Odegaard. But I know, Mike, I did mispronounce it. Don't worry.
It's better than what I would do, mate. I call him completely something else on my podcast.
And
Odegaard or Odegaard or whatever it is.
And Danny Ceballos, if we get offered to buy him, please just go no, just send him back. But I do agree with the loan strategy right now until we clear out the deadwood and then try and move on to the next generation of Arsenal. We're bringing in a lot from the academy. We'll sell some from the academy, bring the next generation in, and just a splattering of experience right throughout the team. That would be my tactic with the budgets and stuff that we've got going at the minute.
Fair play, Fergus. Scully, let's bring you in, my friend. The situation with Arteta is a little bit up and down in certain members of the fan base. But one thing I will say is it looks like there's been some positives in the transfer windows in terms of ins, and more importantly, this window in terms of outs. What's your making so far on that, Scully?
I'm going to say something like what Harry said earlier on in the show. The outs are more important than the ins at the minute. Getting rid of Deadwood, the ones that are on a lot of money wages wise, it makes sense to get them players and get them gone. Like Özil, Socrates, hopefully Mustafi. It's one of them things that we need to consider. It makes sense to do that, and with the loan deals coming in, I think Martin, he come in. He's only cost us $2.5 million, and that's all in. That's for the rest of the year. So that's a good bit of business, that, especially with his, he's got a lot of promise. I don't know. I haven't seen much of him. I can only go what other people have said about him. So he seems to have a lot of promise. A lot of people tend to, have bigged him up and who like him. So I can only go with that. Judgment's still out, but he's only going to come in as cover with him being alone. I know there was a lot of talk around Smith Rowe being, is he going to get, pushed aside for him? I think it's more to help him move along. It's giving him a challenge, keep him moving forward. And not only that, if this Martin's really good, then maybe he can learn a bit off him. It's only going to benefit Smith Rowe. So I can't see any issue with that. The other signing coming in is Matt Ryan. It just makes sense, doesn't it, really? Let's face it. We needed another keeper. We needed someone with Premier League experience in that role. So, yeah, that one just made sense. And I think it's a great signing.
I didn't realise he was out of contract at the end of the season. That it makes it even a better signing.
Who's
really,
that, Matt Ryan?
Really clever. Yeah.
Yeah, good business. Matt Ryan out in the summer. I think it makes sense. Scunny, I can't let you go without talking about your favourite ever player for Arsenal. We may be out the door this window. Mustafi might be leaving Arsenal.
I did say hopefully.
Will it be like celebrations and running around the garden and drinking champagne when Mustafi leaves Arsenal, Scunny?
I'm driving him, mate. Told him I'd give him a lift. No issue.
Listen, I'm with you 100% there, mate. I think it'll be a great window to get rid of Shkodran Mustafi. He is a player I have never liked, never rated, and never thought was good enough for Arsenal.
This is what I was saying, mate. It's them players that are on a hell of a lot of money on wages that aren't getting any game time. They're not doing anything, so you need to get them off the books. It's only going to help out Arsenal in the long run. Especially coming up to the summer transfer window. That's when it all can start rolling in with the money-wise.
Go on, Lee.
Mind you, Mikel wanted to keep him, give him a new contract, and has made him captain this season. So that's a bit of a worry.
It is a bit of a worry.
Are those reports actually true, though? I mean,
this is it.
You have to take it with a pinch of salt.
Daniel, I'm seeing with the armband on. I 100% see him with the armband on leading the team.
Leave it out, Lee.
You see more than what I do, and if you'll excuse the pun,
you're just in denial, Daniel. That's what that is. You know what I mean? So
I'm privileged.
I never see him with the armband.
I couldn't, but I must admit that was a strange old day, and yet again another strange old decision by Mikel Arteta giving him the captaincy. Trev, you've been very quiet, waiting very patiently there, mate. Seeing as you've sorted your Wi-Fi and your laptop out, I'm going to come to you. What would you like to see now from the youngsters in this side? Would you like to see them be rotated, or would you like to see the likes of Odegaard, should I say, given, trying to fight for his place with the likes of Smith Rowe and Saka playing so well?
Yeah, I mean, like him or loathe him, I thought Arteta spoke really well in the interview last night about not running these young players into the ground and respecting the fact that they're not going to play 50 games a season. I thought that was very good. And when you take that in that context, the signing of another young player that floats around in those positions can only be good. Because when Smith Rowe or Saka or Martinelli or Alba don't play, what we have to bring on into the side at the moment still isn't quite good enough, is it? Willian hasn't done it for us. Pepe played well last night, but I challenge you to name a game where he's played well before that recently. So I don't think it will do any harm at all. As long as it doesn't hinder the chances of the youngsters, which I don't think it will. Although you've got to remember as well now, we're out the FA Cup, the League Cup's done, so we've only got Europe and the League. The fixture list isn't going to be as crowded as it might have been, but I think it's only a good thing. And he's a young lad, and as long as it doesn't hinder our youngsters that have excited us so much, I think it'll be all right. We'll go all right. And don't forget, Dan, he's the best looking Spaniard I know. Believe him, son.
Follow. That's all you were singing to me last night, wasn't it? That was all you were singing to me last night. Before I let you boys go, I'm going to go around and just quickly ask what you make very, very quickly of the current Arsenal setup with Mikel Arteta. Scunny, we'll start with you. Do you think it's trust the process and stick with him, or are you still not convinced, Scunny?
Well, you landed that one after I thought it was going to be quite a good one, this, talking about transfers and stuff, and then you throw that one at me. Dan, what are you trying to do?
Well, I've got to do this before you go, mate.
I thought this was a happy podcast. No,
Well, it might be. Depends if you're into it or not, isn't it?
Yeah, questions are still out there for me. I think after the FA Cup game, I think it left me with a bitter taste in my mouth after that game, because it's the FA Cup's it's Arsenal's cup. You know, we're 14-time winners. That left a bitter aftertaste with me, and especially after watching last night's game and we won quite comfortably. Really, it just really, it bothered me a bit. So yeah, in some respects, yes, it's been okay. The run's been okay in the league. We haven't lost a game in, is it 5-6 games now? So it's it's nice of that. It's good to see it. I'm glad we're pushing forward. But with that, like I say, with the FA Cup, it just leaves that bitter aftertaste. I just can't get around that. So at the minute, judgment's still out there for me. With judges and everything. So the jury's still out. I'm just waiting to see what happens in the next, summer transfer window. See where it goes from there. Because as much as either you're 50% in or 50% out, I'm still on the fence. I'm gonna give him that chance. He deserves it at the end of the day. So it makes no sense to sack someone now and have no one coming in.
Fair play. Trev, I think we all know where you stand. You're behind the manager, you're behind the team, and you're behind the players every time that we speak. Is it fair to say that you're going to give Arteta some more time?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to give him some more time, Dan. Some of his selection decisions do baffle me, but then again, there's never been a manager that hasn't baffled me at times, mate. So, and Daniel nailed it earlier. Daniel absolutely nailed it earlier when he said, for me, and I said it some weeks ago, it's not about this January window. Nice steady January, which is what we're getting. And then in the summer, I'm expecting some fireworks. I'm expecting to see some big movements in the market, and hopefully we'll bring in one or two bits of class. And just remember, previous transfer windows, we've been bringing all these players that are not up to scratch in. We've been bringing them in one or two at a time, bringing them in. And we're only going to get rid of them one or two at a time. It takes a little bit of time to bring them in. It takes a little bit of time to get them out. But it looks like we've got rid of 3 this window. I've heard rumours that Mustafi's here till the summer, but we've got rid of 3 and we're on the go. We're on the rise. And yeah, I'm waiting for summer. Much like Daniel said, I think we'll be all right.
Good stuff, Trev. Last couple of words before we bring our next lot of panellists on. Fergus, we'll start with you and then we'll end with Daniel. Fergus, over to you.
With regards to the setup, I'm not overly enamoured with the setup with Edu, in the sense that he doesn't really have much of an idea with regards to players outside of Brazil. I don't like the setup with Kia Joorabkum, is that his name? The super agent. I don't like the seems to be the heavy reliance on him. With regards to Arteta, I didn't want Arteta to be appointed in the first place, but I think he's doing an okay job with an absolute crap lot of players, and I don't think he could have done much better. We're up and down, as Lee said, in the league positions at the moment because things are changing. But as of close of play last night, we're 5 points off top 4. I think it's a big shout to go for top 4, but it's not outside the window. Has Arteta got my support? 100% until at least the end of the season, and probably a little bit beyond that. I am trusting the process because it's a complete rebuild.
There we go. Well said, Fergus. And over to you, Daniel, before you go. What do you make of Arteta moving forward, mate?
Listen, it's a difficult one, and I'm apologies to be a bit negative here. I'm not convinced by Arteta. Do you know what it is, right? I just look at Arteta's, some of his decision making is completely baffling, and I get that it's a complete rebuild. I completely get that that it's going to take time, but some of his decisions, like leaving out William Saliba, his eagerness to sometimes always go with Willian in the side, who's for me is just been a complete disastrous signing. It's a tricky one. It's no doubt we've had a brilliant transfer window in terms of outgoings, and when you look at the summer one recently, the incomings with Gabriel and Partey, and then getting Ceballos back on loan. But I'm yet to be convinced, if I'm being honest, and hopefully he can prove me wrong. But at this current time and moment, I still think and I still feel that it is a too big a job for a manager with no experience.
Daniel, I think it is a very fair comment, and I certainly share some of your opinions on that, my friend. Daniel, thank you for coming on, mate. It's been an absolute pleasure. Please go and follow the Blind Gooner, and Daniel, I'd love to have you back on again.
Yeah, no worries, Leah. Cheers. Thanks for having me on, Dan, and great show as always.
You're more than welcome. Thank you very much. Scunny, as ever, mate, thanks for coming on, buddy.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, and yeah, do it as that. I'm glad we're leaving on a high note there, mate. You what, Lee?
How comes you stayed last? Trev should have been first. Get him up, like, I mean, get him up.
What are you talking about?
Well, that baldy joke, I don't think it was very kind, you know.
Trev, as ever, absolute pleasure having you on, mate. Always welcome on the same.
It's a before and after picture with them two, isn't it?
Oh no, isn't it just?
I'll let you decide which one's before and which one's after.
I've known you well over a year. I've never seen you without an hat. Do you go to bed with your hat on?
Yeah, mate. It's cold.
Yeah, come on, Trev. They're having a go at us.
It keeps his pineapple pinned down, Lee. That's what it does.
We also thank Fergus.
They're going on about people with hair out of these two. It's hair envy, isn't it? Look at him.
We also thank Fergus, but he's saying the squirrel is dead. Fergus is.
He ain't paid his bill again.
He ain't paid his bill. Scunny, Trev, absolute pleasure. Absolute pleasure having you both on. You both take care, and we'll speak very, very soon. All right, guys.
Right, Trev, take care, boys. Up the Arsenal.
Joining us as ever, two massive.
Great.
Yeah, great podcast. Please come and follow us. We've got three other legends from Guns and Yellow Ribbons coming on now. Corey, Ash, and Big Steve, all with us. How are you, boys?
Hey. All good, man. All good. Glad to be here.
How are you?
Yeah, man, I'm good. Ash, it's been a long time, man. How are you doing?
Too long. Yeah, I'm good. Considering our result yesterday, happy. So yeah, it's a good look.
Good stuff, man. What's that, Lee?
How are we doing? All right? Everybody okay?
Yeah.
Mr. Judge, the meme himself.
I'm trying to keep the low profile these days, you know what I mean?
Also joining us, we have Big Steve. Big Steve, how you doing, man?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. I'm good. I'm up north, and I can vouch for Scunny. It's bloody cold. But,
yeah, man.
Yeah,
you know it. Lee Judges, I'm going to start with you because we've had you on for a bit and haven't had a chance to properly speak to you. Talk to me about this window. Me and you always have a chat about it, whether the Cronkies are going to back this guy, whether we're going to spend money, whether we're not going to spend money. Are you happy or are you not happy?
You're never going to be happy when you just made a couple of loan signings, but you have to look at it from the climate and everything like that. I never thought we was going to make any signings, so I'm going to say this now. Matt Ryan, I think that was out of the blue, but I'm well pleased with that because I've watched him at Brighton and he's a decent goalkeeper. So to get him on loan to the end of the season, I'm more than happy with that. And in fact, it's true. It's the last 6 months of his contract. You never know. I think he'd like to play first team football, wouldn't he? But I'd like to maybe get him permanently, if I'll be honest, because I think he'd be a great goalkeeper, not just as a number two, but pushing Leno. I think that Leno needs to be pushed as well. I don't think anybody needs to be given an easy ride at Arsenal. So, and I think I'm going to say Martin because all these. I had it sorted with Undergaard, and all of a sudden it's now changed. So it took me four days to get Undergaard, and now it's changed. So I'm going to go say Martin, and that ain't never going to change. So I think he's in a position where I honestly think that listen, I don't think Arsenal can get the player that they want in this window. So they've gone down the route of picking up somebody like him for 6 months, and I think it's a good deal. I've got to say that. Am I excited about it? Not really, because it's only for 6 months. Am I going to buy his shirt? No, I'm not. But I think it's a half decent signing if he's fit and raring to go. And I think if he is fit and raring to go, it'd be good to see him on the bench at the weekend.
I think it's a great shout. Big Steve, I'm going to bring you in on this one, man, because you're excited for young players. We all know this. This guy was a wonder kid when he came on the scene. I just feel with this kid, it's either going to work out for him or he's going to be like a Ravel Morrison or a Freddie Adu. What's your take on this, man?
I think I think he's been biding his time to get in that Real Madrid side. You know, he was signed as a 15-year-old. He was playing for the B team for a couple of years, went out on a couple of loans in the Netherlands. Talented kid, showed that at Sociedad last season. I think obviously look at the midfielders that Real Madrid have had over the past 4, 5, 6 years. There was no way you're going to get in there, not only for the sake of the talent that was there, but they had players like Asensio also coming through. You got Vinicius Jr. coming through, who are just a little bit bigger, a little bit more physical, and a little bit more suited to adult football, I think, than Ødegaard was. Look, I think any signing that's going to come in and help, help with depth for a start. You know, now we've got another player who is likely to play ahead of Willian, which is a big bonus for me. I think if the less we see him, and more backup for Martinelli for Saka and Smith Rowe, I think it's a good thing. And someone that's, he's been around, he's got a lot of experience, even though he's only 22. So yeah, I see it as a good bit of business. And yeah, he's not costing us a lot of money. And if he doesn't work out, then we let him go after 6 months.
Yeah, it's a risk, some would say, but I think it's one worth taking. Ash, what's your take on this business so far, my friend?
Yeah, similar to what Lee said, the Matt Ryan signing was completely like left field. He got dropped out for their current goalkeeper, who I don't even think is better than him. And he's 28 years old, so if he wants to kind of come and fight for a place, I think we needed a better backup. Yeah, we needed a good number 2. I think when you have a good number 2, it pushes your number 1 to make him a bit sharper and a bit better. And I think we've seen that with a number of teams, that when a number 2, the level isn't quite there, it's been really poor. So the team we're playing on Saturday, the gaze level's gone up since Henderson's gone back. So I'm kind of thinking that Leno, who's had a couple of question marks from the fans, it will help him to kind of keep his levels to where they need to be. So I think Matt Ryan's a great signing. Ødegaard, listen, he's a prodigious talent. Like, he's had a lot of hype around him. He's had a couple of successful loans. He was actually like one of the players of the month while he was at Sociedad. Kind of like fell off towards the end of it. He's come back to Real Madrid and he's not playing. So come here, get some football. I think especially the fact that we've got Smith Rowe, he can't play every single game as our 10. So we need to kind of like pass things over to someone else. And like Big Steve said, I don't really want to ever see Willian on the pitch for us again, because I think he's been absolutely awful. So anyone who can go on before him, I'm happy for that to happen.
Yeah, man, 100%. Corey, there's something about these 2 signings, bruv, that just makes me kind of think that it's the right thing to do. And 2 of the reasons for that is because apparently they're both Gooners. Now, apparently Martin Ødegaard's idol was Cesc Fabregas, which makes me feel old, man. I'll tell you that now. However, he's a Gooner and Matt Ryan's a huge Gooner. It just seems like okay business to me. What's your thoughts on these 2, my friend?
Yeah, for January signings, there's limited options. No other club is really looking to let go of their best players in January. Players ain't really looking to leave in January. If they're building up momentum, they're in good form and whatnot, they're not looking to jump ship at that time of the season. So you have to kind of look at these types of signings and be happy when you actually pull them off. So yeah, I mean, not much more to add about Matt Ryan. He's been a solid Premier League goalkeeper. That's what you want back up 6 months. If anything happens to Leno, you want somebody that could come in and do a job. We don't expect anything too much of him, apart from just being solid, not dropping the ball. Excuse the pun. And with Ødegaard, yeah, look, we needed some creativity. We've been crying out for it. That was highlighted as a big problem until Smith Rowe came in. But we're seeing with Smith Rowe, he can't play every game. And what I think we're seeing from Smith Rowe is a player that's playing at 100%. He's a hungry player that's trying to prove himself. But when you're going that hard, then you're going to get burned out. He's not a player that can play at like 60-70% and still just work his magic. He's somebody that has to really bust the gut to get to the level that he's at the moment. So you're going to need somebody that you can rotate with him. And Ødegaard is not a bad shout. He has had a couple of successful loans, like Ash said. He's coming to Arsenal. I saw his interview. He said that he watched Arsenal as a kid. I think when you're coming to Arsenal and you come into the Premier League, that gives you a little, I think you get a little bit more from a player than you would when they're going to Real Sociedad, because now you know you're in the Premier League, the biggest league in the world. Everybody's watching you. Real Madrid are definitely watching you, and you're gonna kind of give that same sort of energy that Smith Rowe was given. You know, where he was hungry to prove yourself. So we could possibly see the best Odegaard that we've seen. You know, because he's at that age now where it's like, look, now's the time to show and prove. Are you gonna show the world what you're made of, or are you, you know what I mean, just become forgotten about? So I'm happy, and I think both of these players are gonna have the right frame of mind and give us what we need in effort, at least. We just have to see if they got the quality.
100%, Corey. I'm with you, my man. 100%. Go on, judges.
Yeah, Craig's obviously had a glass and a half of wine. You know what I mean, with that last comment. You know what I mean. So,
Here we go.
Not to mention that they're 3 games in hand. You know what
This
I
is
mean?
the problem with it, man. This is the problem with the fan base. It's all very excitable. I've got some more guests waiting in the wings. Before I let you three go, Big Steve, I want to come to you and then Ash very, very quickly. Young players at Arsenal coming through looking good. Talk to me about some of the names that you are excited about, my friend.
I think Aziz looks quality. I think a lot of people aren't looking at the 2 young centre backs we got on loan. I mean, we've got 3 young centre backs on loan. We got Medley out, McGuinness out, and Ballard. Medley, I've got a friend who's a Gillingham fan, being from Kent, and he's not been impressed with Medley too much. But McGuinness and Ballard at Blackpool and Ipswich are currently playing really well. Got a couple of goals, you know, each of them. A handful of clean sheets, and they're looking very good. So I think in the summer, the fact that we've got Socrates has just left, Louise is hopefully on the way out, Mustafi gone, rumours whether Chambers is going to go or not. I think the fact that we've got a few really talented young centre-backs that are going under the radar is quite promising. I don't think Mavropanos is going to come back and do much, but for me, I think obviously the obvious ones, you've got the Balogun, whether he stays or not. You've got Aziz, you've got, you know, we got a couple of young good keepers. We've got Hainan Onkwo. Talk about pronunciations with Odegaard, but we got a mouthful in the reserves for a young keeper. But yeah, I'm excited to see some more of Ballard and McGuinness. Ballard's already an Irish international as well, Northern Irish international. So yeah, I think they're a couple to keep an eye on. And you know, we've as Arsenal fans, we've been longing for decent defenders for many years. So it's nice to see a couple that are doing well in the unders.
Fair play, Big Steve. I know you're a massive fan of youth football, and it's always great to share your knowledge on this platform, man. So you're welcome on any time. Ashman, let's come to you lastly before we let you three go. Youngsters, do you expect some of them to go on loan? Is there going to be anything with Nelson or Willock, do you think? Potentially Eddie and Nketiah as well, or do you think that they're going to stay?
I think Nketiah stays. I think it wouldn't be a bad shot to put Willock out on loan to a Premier League club. Someone like maybe a Fulham or something like that to give him some games. And Nelson, I think he would stay. I'm still a bit upset about Saliba. As I was in a waiting room, they were speaking about him, and I still kind of wish he was around and kind of in the mix and getting games. Obviously, we've got the issue with Marry at the moment. Gabriel's kind of just come back. It would still be nice to have him around, but yeah, I think out of the 3 of them, 2 will stay and 1 will go on loan.
Fair play. Boy, it's been a pleasure having all 3 of you on. Corey, how can people follow you, my friend?
Yeah, so YG Corey on Twitter. And you can catch me on the Friday preview show on Ask Bros every Friday, but actually sometimes it might be a Tuesday, a Wednesday, or a Thursday. So
the way we're playing, it's all over the way at the moment.
Just subscribe, get the notifications, and then you'll catch me that way.
Corey, top man, appreciate you coming on, bro. Much appreciated. Ashman, how can people follow you, man, and listen to you more on podcasts, bro?
Yeah, so I work for the Play On podcast. Shout out to Ben and Cal and Ryan, who are in the wings as well. So yeah, just jump onto Instagram, podcast Play On, find us there. And yeah, I'm not on Twitter. Too much negativity on there.
Man, you're not wrong, bro. You're not wrong. I do not blame you at all. Ash, always a pleasure having you on, man. And I'll catch up with you soon, bro.
Cheers, Ash.
Yeah, definitely. Take care, lads.
Take care, man. And Big Steve, lastly, man, how can people follow you? Always on Twitter, shouting at someone.
Yeah.
How can people follow you, man?
Yeah, at Big Steve with 2 E's at the end on Twitter. Also, I do a bit of music, so if you want to look for Big Steve, Spotify, iTunes, Apple Music, whatever, you'll notice me. I'm pretty hard to miss, but yeah, we'll always on Twitter as well. But just before I go, I mean, me and Lee met a few years back. We was on a metro, Sunderland away, and you said hello to me. A couple of nephews who were with me.
Unbelievable, right? So cool. That's
Yeah,
a while ago.
small world, small world.
Yeah, small world. Yeah, yeah. That was I think Sunderland 0-0 it was as well, wasn't it?
It was the 0-0.
Yeah.
Giroud got booed coming off the bench, coming off the pitch. A load of hoo-ha in the stands. It's the only game I've ever left early because I had the little ones. But yeah, crazy. They're 12 and 11 now.
Yeah, that's unreal. Like, I remember it now. Like, so there you go. That's unbelievable.
Don't act like he's famous. You'll make his head even bigger, mate. Come on, don't be like this, man.
I like Big Steve. Leave him alone. Lovely. Let me meet you again, Big Steve.
Yes, hopefully again soon at the Emirates.
No problem.
Please come and follow Big Steve. Big Steve, absolute pleasure, man. And I'll catch up with you soon,
man.
Right?
Thank you. Later.
Take care, man. Laters. Judges, it's time to bring some more guests on, I think, mate. I don't think we've got enough guests. Who should we have? I reckon I can probably get my favourite Gooner girl on. Sophie. How you doing? You good?
Hey.
Hey, boys. How's it going?
You all right?
Doing so good. Always great to see your faces. Love you guys, and hope you're both doing really well.
All good, all good. All the better now.
Yeah.
Guess we're getting better as we go along, aren't they? Like, you know?
Oh, no.
Are you peaking? You starting to peak? They say once you go Greek, you totally peak.
Oh, that's it. Did we have Harry on earlier on, didn't we? Like,
yeah, we had Harry, man. Harry's gone. Harry's long gone, man.
He's long.
Don't agree with me, man. I can't have Harry on for too long. Me and him never.
We had one part of the Dummer team on, but the other Dummer.
That's it, man. That's it. You know it, judges. We've got our Gooner girl on. Let's get our Gooner guy on. Absolute legend, Arsenal legend, good man and gentleman, Mr. Kevin Campbell.
I'm after judges. Judges, I'm after him.
Casey, how you doing, man?
Arteta, I'm good, thanks, Dad. I'm good. Me and my mate Arteta, we want a word with judges.
Have you ever met anyone with more energy than this legend right here?
I'm loving it. And
hi guys, how are you? I was watching. It's good conversation. Good, really good.
Glad you can be here, Kev. Someone else who always interviews people with a lot of energy is Mr. AFTV himself, Mr. Robbie Lyle. Robbie, how you doing, man?
How you doing, man? How you doing?
Hi, Robbie.
Hi, Sophie. How you doing?
Hi, Robbie. How you doing, mate? Good to see you. Good to see you.
I love what you said about the Greeks, you know.
Oh, you heard that one. Do you agree? Have you ever had Greek?
No.
Would you like some?
Did you hear that? Not yet.
Not yet.
Robbie, you got my wife in a comment.
That's an offer. That's an offer.
We're on about the food. We're on about the food. Sod that. It's the food.
We're not talking about business.
LA one way.
No, this isn't about Mezze, that's for sure. Good to see everyone.
It is great to see you. And Robbie, thank you so much for coming on, and to you, Sue, Casey, and Sophie. Robbie, let's start with you, man. It's going to be strange me interviewing you, I'll tell you that. But how has it been with this transfer window for you, man? What have you made of it so far? And do you expect much more to happen, mate?
I think it's been a good transfer window. I've been really impressed by Arsenal in this transfer window. I mean, I think priority number one was, to get rid of some of the real high earners. They've done that. Kolasinac has gone. The Mesut Ozil situation has been resolved, which that kind of surprised me. I didn't think he'd go at first until the end of till the summer. So for them to move him on, and it kind of ended all right as well. Like, he's gone to somewhere where he wanted to go, and we've been able to get him off of the wage bill, and it's not ended in a mess, because it's been a mess. So I kind of liked how that kind of concluded. And yeah, I think, they've got rid of some of those high earning players that they needed to get rid of. I think Socrates as well. He went, that was good. And I think, if Mustafi can be moved on before the end of the window, I think they would have done really good business there. And then I think, Matt Ryan is a very sensible signing. That came as a big surprise, but, he's experienced. He's played over 100 Premier League games. So, that's a guy's going to come Premier League ready, can fit straight in. If we've got to play him in the Europa League, if needed, he can cover there. And I'm excited about the Odegaard signing. I remember speaking to Kev. I messaged him the other day, and I remember we did a show last year, and Kev, he does a lot of Spanish football, covers a lot of Spanish football. And I remember Kev saying to me, well, Arsenal should be trying to get someone like Odegaard because he was doing so well at Real Sociedad at the time. And as soon as I saw that he was available, well, it wasn't that he was available, but he's saying he wants to leave to play regular football. I was like, Arsenal, come on, move for this guy. And they did. And I thought, I think that's a great bit of business. I don't think it's going to stifle Smith Rowe. I think it's going to help Smith Rowe. I think, the two of them, be able to push each other. And as we saw last night, Smith Rowe came off. He's only a young kid. So I think so far the business has been good. I'd like to see a backup left back before the window closes. But I have to say, in a window that's very, very slow. Remember, there's been no big deals. No one's done nothing. No one's spent any big money in this window. I think we'll look back at it. Hopefully, if we can get that left back in and say we've done very good business.
I think it's fair play, and I think during the pandemic, there's not a lot going on, Robbie. I'm 100% with you. Mr. Kevin Michael Campbell, I'm going to come to you. You are massively.
It's got to be done. It's got to be done.
You are massively Michael in Kev, massively Michael in KC. And what I will say.
His mate.
It's his mate. What I'll say, Casey, one thing. He and Edu have done well in the last couple of transfer windows. Is that fair to say?
100%, Dan. Look, for the best part of 12 years, everyone has known we've needed a centre half and a centre midfielder. It's been there. We've had Arsene Wenger in, who's had more experience than anyone. We've had Unai Emery in. He's had more experience as a continental manager, European manager. We've had Freddie in, and then Mikel Arteta comes in with Edu. And finally, we buy a centre-half and a centre midfielder. And although the centre-half obviously had COVID and he played on Saturday but didn't play last night, you see the centre midfielder who is actually, he's not fit, but he's playing to get fitness. And he's a Rolls Royce. He makes the team tick totally different. He makes Xhaka play forward balls, by the way. Can you believe it? He makes Xhaka play forward. It's amazing. So, again, we know the recruitment has been so poor at Arsenal over the years. And it really reflects in the fact that Arsenal have to pay players to leave. That tells you everything.
Mm-hmm. No, it does. Listen, the last couple of windows, I've been impressed with the incomings. And this window, I've been impressed with the outgoings. Go on, judges.
Yeah, well, because, and also not getting rid of the manager don't always help because, Chelsea got rid of Lampard and they still can't win. You know what I mean? I'm just saying.
Very truly.
Tuchel's come in.
Very true.
Shout out to Burnley this evening. Well done, Burnley. Thank you very much.
Well played,
Burnley. Like a yo-yo today. We was 8th, 9th, 10th. I think we just
Isn't it just unbelievable? Soph, let's come to you. Me and you share similar opinions, and we have done for a few months now on Mikel Arteta. Still not 100% convinced and like to see more of a style or more play. But we're talking about transfers. Mm-hmm. Any rumours that you have heard over the last few days? There's rumours of a left back. There's rumours that we may be looking to go big in the summer. What are you hearing, Soph?
Okay, firstly, I just wanted to say that it's okay to criticize Mikel Arteta after a game and not want him to lose his job. That is the fundamental, most important thing that Arsenal fans all need to understand. You know, this is what we do. We watch a game, we give our opinion, and we can always give our opinion on how the team performs and what the manager does to put the team in its best form to be able to perform. In terms of this transfer window, had we got rid of Mustafi as well, I would say it's probably the greatest transfer window in the history of Arsenal Football Club. And that is because, you know, we have been complaining for how long, week after week, months after months, years after years, that these players aren't good enough to play for the club, that they don't belong in the club, and that they haven't performed for the club and they've been enabled. And so to be able to get rid of Ozil, Kolasinac, who am I missing? Socrates Papastadopoulos, who, as a Greek, you
love
know,
love that.
I'm sad to see him go.
Say it again. Just keep saying it, Sophie.
Socrates Papastadopoulos. I'm very happy to see him go to Olympiacos and back home and be happy, but it was the right move for him. And, you know, with Mustafi, if we'd have got rid of him, I mean, this is what we've wanted, you guys, out with the old, in with the new. And I think Arsenal fans need to just kind of maybe get out of their snobbery circle a little bit. It's okay to sign players from other Premier League teams. I've heard fans being turning up their noses at Ryan Bertrand. Maybe Ryan Bertrand could be the type of squad player that can come in and help us in those situations where if one of our defenders get injured, he's a very versatile player too. So sometimes the snobbery gets in the way. I don't want to bring up the vermin in any way, but look what Højbjerg's done for Spurs. He's played in the Premier League for years. Now everyone is looking at Cedric and saying, oh, he's a good player. Well, of course he's a good player. He played for Southampton in the Premier League for a long time. So he understands what the league is and what you need to do week in, week out to perform. So for me, in terms of this transfer window, it was a move to get rid of some of the deadwood that was causing a little bit of cancer in the dressing room, maybe speaking to the press when they shouldn't have. And that would lead us to the next steps in the summer to be able to rebuild and really build this team in Arteta's image. I said this to Casey a lot on our show. Every great manager builds a team in their image. They take on their personality. They take on their character. You know, Klopp, Antonio Conte, Pep Guardiola, all of these managers we've seen succeed in the Premier League are an image of themselves on the pitch through their players. And until we see Arteta be able to do that turnkey, then we're not going to really truly see his Arsenal evolve. So that's what I'm hoping to see once the summer comes. And then after that, come December 2021, if it's not going well, then you can start criticizing and start calling him to be, fired if he's not doing well.
Sophie, this is why you're my favourite Gooner girl. You could just end it there. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's how good you are, man. Love it. Absolutely love it. I'm going to bring another couple of guests on in a minute, but Robbie, I'm going to come to you. What do you make of this left-back situation? Obviously, we've got Kieran Tierney, who's absolutely superb. By far my favourite player. I absolutely love his mentality and think he's got the potential to be one of the left-backs in the league. Obviously, Cedric's come in now. Maitland-Niles has come in there. We've seen Saka play there. Do we need another left-back cover, or do you think Mikel will kind of make do with those options for now?
No, I'd like to see us bring in a natural left-back. I mean, I thought Cedric was brilliant last night. He really was. Not as good. What I liked about him is that on Saturday, he weren't great playing out of position, but, you know, he learned from that and he really stepped it up yesterday. And I thought he had a shout for man of the match. So he was superb. However, I do like the balance, and I do think that we could do with having a proper backup left back in that position. Kieran Tierney, I love him as well, but he seems to be quite injury prone, and we're not going to be able to, look how many games there are. I mean, we've got a game Saturday, we've got another game next week Tuesday, you know what I mean? Players are going to get burnt out. So we've got to have, a balanced squad. And I think if they could get that done, it might be difficult for them to get it done. It might be difficult to get Bertrand in this transfer window. But if we could get it done, it makes perfect sense to me. And I think it would be a good signing. Again, experience in the Premier League and would help out the squad a lot. So, yeah, I definitely think we could do with getting another left back. Listen, if you're a top team, you need strength in depth in all areas. I think that's why United are doing so well at the moment. They've got strength in depth in every area. I looked at their bench the other day in midfield. They can bring on Van der Beek. They can bring on Juan Mata. They've got so many players they can bring on if it ain't happening. And I think it's, if you look at a lot of their results where they've gone a goal down and then they're able to bring on a Cavani or somebody like that, that's why they've been able to get so many victories in those games. So we need to have the same thing. And, I was quite surprised when I heard a lot of fans moaning when we was looking at Odegaard, because they're like, well, that's going to stop. That's going to stunt Smith Rowe.
No, I'm with you. 100%.
I'm like, this is Arsenal. If you're playing for Arsenal and you play for any big club, your position should be constantly under threat from either players that play in the club or even players that are outside the club that they're looking at with a potential to bringing in. You're constantly under threat. There should be no comfort zone. We've seen that too many times over the years where there's players, and Mesut Ozil used to be one of them, I have to say, right, where under Arsene Wenger, where he was comfortable. He knew that, no matter what, he's starting. That's his spot. I want to see players where they know that if I play 3-4 games and I don't put it in, I'm out and the next person comes in. So we need competition in all areas. And I think, I'm liking what I'm seeing. I'm not sure if it's the best transfer window ever.
No, it would have been, Robbie. It would have been if we'd have got rid of Mustafi.
Yeah, so. You know what? When you said it, I was thinking about it. I was like, hold on, what other transfer windows would be better than this? That's what, maybe she's right, right? But, I mean, time's going to tell, innit, on somebody like Odegaard, because, he hasn't played a lot recently and stuff like that. But I just look on Odegaard and I say, we've got nothing to lose. If it don't work out, we can send him back. Yeah. If it does work out, sign him up. I reckon, I think, I don't think he'll go back to Madrid if he does really well. I really don't. He was at Sociedad last year and he was doing brilliantly. And remember, they brought him back early because they said, you come back early. He was supposed to be on a 2-year loan. And they brought him back early and they said, look, come back, we're going to get you in the first team. And he didn't get in the first team. And he's got all those players he's got to get past. And I think if he comes to Arsenal and he plays well and he's loved, I think he'll want to stay. In the Premier League's massive in Norway. So he still have the same prestige. So, and if it don't work out, you send him back and then you go and look at a Buendia or somebody like that. So I think it's some really shrewd business. And these guys recently have been doing some shrewd, apart from Willian, that Willian signing, right? They've been doing some shrewd business. Even signings like Pablo Marry, good signing. Yeah. A lot of people think like they'll look on Marry and they say, I did some quiz the other day and I said, in one of the questions was, how old is Pablo Marry? And the person said 31. That's not
26, isn't he?
People think he's quite old, but he's a very experienced player, but he's still only about 27. I like the profile of these players now. Mm-hmm. And at least if they don't work out,
for a little while. We won't see him for a little while.
Oh, you got your theory about
here we go. This is a theory of me and Judges. Yeah. I wonder if that's something in that, though. I wonder if there's something in there. Listen, I want Casey.
I've convinced Dan about it. I've started to work my magic with this. I'll tell you that.
I've got to say, just before you go to Casey, he came on my show, probably about 6 weeks ago. It was before the Chelsea game, and we had a real back and forth, right, on that show. And Kev was talking about how it's not Mikel Arteta, it's the players. And he insisted on saying it was the players. And I have to say, Kev looks like he's being proven right now. Don't do that, Robbie.
Judges, get that!
You know what it is to me, yeah? I'm one of these people that take my position, stick my flag in and then say, no matter what. If I say, I think the manager should go, I'm not going to say, no matter what. I'm not changing my mind. I'm starting to look at it now thinking, well, maybe the players weren't performing. I mean, don't get me wrong, Arteta was making a lot of errors as well. And I didn't like the style of football. But when I look at it and I just think, just by bringing in Smith Rowe, how things have changed. And now he's looking like he's being able to play more of this. No, you guys ain't feeling that. Dan's not feeling that. But I just feel that all of a sudden I'm starting to see a style of play, Dan, which I didn't really see before. And I reckon he was like scared to play that style because he just like, I just ain't got the players.
Well, he trusted the wrong players, didn't he, Robbie? He trusted the wrong players from the beginning, and he should never have done that, like, ever. Where would we be in the league if he had started the right players from the get-go?
Absolutely. Go on, Lee. Go on, Lee. What are you saying? Go on.
On that show, right? Yeah, when Kevin and Robbie were at it, like, Robbie even got James on to help him out, and Kevin and James went on Kevin's side. You know what I mean? I'm not having it. I'm not having it.
You know what, Lee? You know what, Lee? Right? Kev was insistent on that show that it was the players that were not performing. Now, I was saying that I still thought it was the formations were very negative by Mikel Arteta at that time. But as I said, I'm just looking at it now, and he's not really played that way since. He's trying to, all of a sudden now we're trying to play football, and that's because of Smith Rowe, because he's got someone now in that position that can play. So listen, the jury, I agree with Sophie, the jury is still out. He's not out of the woods yet. But I do feel that I want to see him get time. I want to see him get to the summer, because the summer is when the critical business is going to be done. That's when whether they like it, Mustafi, whether you like it or not, you're gone. Contract done, right? So that's when I'm going to be very interested to see the type of player he brings in, the profile of those players, and because now after that, it's a bit like Lampard now, isn't it? No excuses. That's why Lampard's gone. Can't hide behind the fact that there was no transfer window now. You've had your players and you're still not doing it. So I think it's going to be next season when we can really judge Arteta. But I have to say, I've been quite impressed with him, the way he's come through a really rocky period. I mean, like, we were down and out. And how I see the vibe around the team at that game last night, I thought we played really well. So I'm liking what I see, but it's still early. We got to keep doing this.
Robbie,
fair play.
Also, we even heard, didn't we, that he'd lost the dressing room.
Yeah.
We heard people coming out with crap about he's lost the dressing room, etc. Absolute nonsense.
I think it's like what Sophie said. I think there were certain individuals in that dressing room, right?
100%.
That were, but then, stories were leaking out left, right, and centre. And, there was that story. The one when I thought to myself, nah, man, there's definitely a rat there, right? Was when the one with David Luiz and Ceballos.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hey, come on, man, that's not supposed to get out. And that was out. And I've got I've been told a few little about who there's more than one, who they were. So, and let's just say they're not at the club no more.
Yep.
So, and now all of a sudden the vibe is different.
Yeah, but listen, it is like, listen, there is something that has gone on over the summer, a few months ago, whatever it be, because there has been a change in the way things have been. Listen, it's been picked up the last few games 100%. Of course, we're starting to see some of these youngsters be proving themselves, and it's much better to watch, but I'm still not 100% convinced. Before I bring another guest on, I just want to read out this super chat. The signature, thank you for your kind donation. Haaland calling Arsenal a big club. Lacazette's contract is expiring and Balogun good as gone. Am I dreaming, or are they just helping us out? That is a teaser. Do you know what it is? It's because of Ødegaard coming, isn't it? It's obviously the Norway link. It is the Norway link. KC, what do you make of that, man? Imagine.
It's nice. It's nice for him to speak well of the club, obviously, but you got to remember, a lot of these kids grew up on Arsenal. Do you know what I mean? I played with his dad at Nottingham Forest, and obviously,
put in a word, KC. Put in a word.
When Arsenal come to town, it's a massive game. But obviously, he's at Dortmund at the moment, and can we afford him? That's the other thing, because he's going to be probably 100 million plus, isn't he? If he's going to go, so it's big numbers.
Mina Riola.
Big numbers, man. Big numbers.
That's a huge number. I mean, probably right now he would be, if not one of the most expensive signings in the world to get to any team. And that means Kroenke putting his hand in his own pocket, which we all know that's probably not going to happen.
It does seem that way.
Unless maybe we could get him on loan.
On loan. Get him on loan and they can have Willie
Try
Adam.
before you buy, yeah. Try before you buy.
Before I bring my next guest on, I do want to say Christmas was only a couple of weeks away and I was a good boy and got what Santa got me. Did Kenny Ken get himself a laptop? No, he did not. He's got himself a phone. His Wi-Fi is still no good. He's nowhere to be seen. What is going on with Kenny Ken? Where is he ever?
No, he's in the bar. He's in
Kenny,
the bar.
Kenny, my man.
Where is he?
Where is Kenny?
It's like, where's Waldo? I mean, that's amazing. Look at that.
You know what? I'm gonna bring somebody else on. I'm a huge fan on a podcast with this geezer last week and have only just stopped laughing. He is one of the hosts over in America on the Gooners Pod, and it is Mr.
It's
Mike.
got to be Mike.
Feinberg. How you doing, my friend?
Big Mike.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen?
Kenny appears. Oh, and he's gone. He's thinking, what's happening here? Kenny, can you hear me, my friend? I'm loving it. He's thinking, I'm in the shower. Hang on, I'm not ready to come in yet. What's going on? Mike, let's bring you in. Mike, how are you, my friend?
Oh, I'm doing lovely. You know, the chat rightfully so. The chat rightfully so calling this a heavyweight panel, but the only way to make it heavier is to bring in,
Big Mike.
Bring this guy in, and I guess Kenny at the same. I mean, we're tipping the scales here today, definitely.
Especially the bottom half of this. The bottom half is tipping. Like,
this is the most bottom-heavy podcast I've ever seen in my life.
We're holding them up at the top there, aren't we?
It's like a split, you're the props.
Kenny's left you in the lurch at least, hasn't he? Kenny's left you in the lurch. Kenny!
There he is.
There he is. What is he?
Kenny.
There he is.
Kenny,
he's got his
are you
trousers
there,
on.
Ken. I don't know what he's
Is
doing.
he with Virgin Media? Is that the problem?
Right,
Is he with Virgin
I
Media?
don't know what he's with. I have no idea
Kenny!
what he's... Kenny, can you hear me?
What have I missed? What have I missed? I've been watching football.
You have missed. You've missed nothing.
I'm not missing like Premiership football where judges go on. I just want to know one thing. Why? Or Kevin Campbell coming out about, I tatted this and I told you so, Kevin Campbell. And Robbie,
I told you, Ken.
Robbie
told you.
Robbie, listen to Kevin's every word. No, spare me that crap.
Listen, Kenny, you've got to give Kev a bit of credit, right? Because as I said,
what for?
Because he's been saying it's the players, and
there's no doubt about the players. But I hear you saying, Robbie. But when people come up with this notion that Arteta's got an identified way of playing football, I need to console and explain what style of play we're playing, because I still think it's square pegs round holes. Console and explain that.
I've got to agree with Kenny here.
It's not an identified way of playing football. It's a myth. Biggest myth ever. All this stuff about, let's give it till December. If we don't get the top four... Rob, you know the situation. If we don't get the top four, that is 5 years without Champions League football. That's not acceptable for us.
Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question, yeah? When you look at every team in the Premier League, right? say we, at the start of the season, you looked at every team in the Premier League, right?
Yes.
Would you not say if we did get top four, that's an overachievement with the players we've got?
No. Not at all, because so you say
not
at all. That was an intro for the
Chelsea did it last season.
You'd say at the start of the season, right, that we have a better team than I look on it and I'll say we haven't got a better squad than Man United, we haven't got a better squad than Chelsea, we haven't got a better squad than Man City, we haven't got a better squad than Liverpool. I don't think we've got a better squad than Leicester either, right? That's 5 teams already I've named there, right? So how do we expect with the players that we have to walk into that top 4 spot, especially with all the problems we have with all these players that we need to move on that we all knew about at the start of the season? Where is this right to get into the top 4? We have to look at
it's not Robbie, it's not a rite of passage. But when you're using terms like where is this right, that is the thing that I've been complaining about. Robbie, we do this again. Robbie, why ask the question not to be finished? Robbie, you're the epitome of standards we have at this club. Oh, we don't have a right to win. Oh, let's not be like Chelsea.
It's where we are. I'm being real. You've got to be real.
You're epitomizing the fact that any old standards will do. And that's the problem at the football club. You have to have the mentality to look.
You have mentality.
You're not looking at mentality. You're looking for an excuse menu for this manager if things go tits up at the end of the season.
No.
That is blatant. That is
Robbie, Kenny,
blatant.
Robbie. Kenny and Robbie.
Time to get the samurai sword out.
Yeah, get it out now. Like that culture has gone 12, 15 years ago, 20 years ago. That culture, that, you know, to have that mentality, that focus, that culture in the football club, that went years ago. From the moment we left Highbury, Kenny,
let us get it back.
But that's what Arteta's trying to do.
And we're not
even before that, Kenny, even before that, I'm just trying to say, right, this is not me turning around and saying I'm lowering my expectations. This is me being real and looking at the players that we have, right? I always say, why I always get really upset with the Cronkies, right? Because I'm like, what is their plan? Is your plan to try and win the league, right? Because if your plan is to try and win the league, you then need to try and build a team that can compete. We're not even talking about where you're going to finish it, can compete to win the league. Now, when I looked at that team at the start of the season, I'm like, there's too much players in that team. That team is not the 4th best team or even the 5th best team in the league. Last season when we come 8th, right? That's where we're supposed to come with the players that we had. Our squad's not better than Leicester's at this moment in time. So we need to build a squad that can compete.
There's no time for football, Robbie. There's no time for football. There's no time for football.
Yeah, but Kenny,
because he was at the club for over 22 years. We've been in the comfort zone. We've not been operated like every club in the Premiership. Any other club in the Premiership, we're not going to be afforded the time that you're asking for. In terms of your plans for the Cronkies, well, the Cronkies, when you criticise the Cronkies and ask what their plan, well, they went and got an inexperienced manager who's managed to no managerial experience. So maybe you should look at that decision to appoint Arteta in the first place when there were experienced managers available, which we should have appointed, and then we could have accelerated their process. This trust the process. Isn't going to carry any weight.
You see, you bring Kenny on and he starts trouble. You see that?
This is it. I brought Ken on and look at all this.
Is that the question is for your panel? All right, let me ask you guys a question.
Okay, go on. Ask a question.
The mantra at the football club, which I don't particularly agree with, is trust the process. What are you guys going to say if the unthinkable happens and Arteta finishes below where we finished last season? What sort of process is that? Going to give him more time, are you?
Yeah,
that's
100.
That's a
Kenny,
question.
Kenny, 100%. Let me tell you the reason why.
Why?
You're talking about you got no time. Do you know how long it is since we've won the league?
I know exactly how long it is.
17 years.
17 years since we've won the league. Liverpool Football Club was 30 years. The time flies by. But if you do not build anything, Kenny, you are in trouble. If you do not plan to build. Arteta.
Yeah, but
hold on, Kenny. Just let me finish. Just let me say this bit. Just let me say this bit, Kenny. Kenny, just let me say this bit. Just let me say this bit. This is important.
Right now, we go like this.
This is important. Yes, time out. So, for 12 years, we've known we've needed a centre-back and a centre midfielder. The year when Leicester won it, if we'd have got a centre-back and a centre midfielder, we'd have won the league. We never done it, and
bigs.
we had
If Leicester won the title deservedly, Kevin. They won the
yeah,
title
but I'm
deservedly
saying
because they let
if
less
we'd have
goals and scored the
addressed
most
the
goals.
problems,
They won
Ken,
it fair and
if we'd
square.
have
There's no
addressed,
ifs and buts. They won it
if
fair and
we'd
square,
have
Kevin.
addressed the problems in our squad, we'd have won the league. If
No,
we'd have addressed it, but we had an
that's
experienced
not a given
manager.
in football. Football, there's no such thing as a given in football like that.
Kenny,
Hang on,
okay,
Ken,
then.
let Ken finish.
Okay, that's fine, Kenny. There's no such thing as a given. But do you reckon we would have been in a much better situation than we are now if we'd have had a centre half and a centre midfielder back then? Because it's been 12 years.
You can't say, Kevin. You can't say.
No, but
because
we've known,
no one
Kenny.
knows the situation. But
Kenny,
if
we've
no one knows
known.
the situation, you can't say, Kevin.
But Kenny, we've known. Are you saying, Kenny?
This is about
Kenny, are you saying? Are you saying we haven't needed a centre half and we haven't needed a central midfielder? Is that what you're telling me?
I
For
never
the
said
last
that at
12
all.
years. No, so I'm asking
I've
you.
never said that at all, Kevin.
I'm asking you. Did you know we needed a centre half and a centre midfielder in the last 12 years?
We've had many discussions privately about
what
we need, what we needed. And I also mentioned that we needed an experienced manager to try and get us in the top four. That is where we agree on everything except for the fact that
but Kenny,
about the man we got in charge. I think we got the wrong man
Kenny,
in charge.
Kenny,
That's
here's
the personal opinion.
Kenny, here's the funny thing. With all the experienced managers like like Arsene Wenger and Unai Emery, they never address the problem. It took Mikel Arteta to get past COVID, to get to the summer, to address the problem. This is what I'm saying.
What about address the problem? He's not out of the woods yet. We've had some good results since.
No, I never said he's out the woods. I never said he's out the woods. I'm just saying he's addressing
let's not forget the fact of the matter is that from autumn up until the Chelsea game, we were a mess, and that a lot of that was his doing because he got his tactics muddled, his team selections were muddled, and that's why we're not in a position we should be, which is changed from the top four.
Kenny, can I just jump in for a quick second? Do you mind if I jump? Can I just jump in for a quick second? If you look at, I've not been happy with Arteta at all. I'm with you. On our podcast, I've very vocalised, and Dan knows this.
I know Princess is trying to get you down my road.
Yeah, and you know, at the same time, I don't want him out, but I do, and I wanted him to make some changes and not trust some of the Wengerites and the older players that he inherited. But if you take what you're saying and what Casey's saying, look at Manchester United. This time last year, they were probably in the same position we were. Everyone was screaming and throwing darts and firing shotguns at Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, saying he's useless, he's never managed before. What has he done other than get Cardiff relegated and manage some dodgy Norwegian team? Okay. They're top of the league right now, shockingly. And maybe they're top of the league because the Premier League is just bizarrely weird this season, but it's much more competitive because it seems like everyone's in a bit of a rebuilding phase. Chelsea, Man City, Tottenham, Arsenal, Manchester United themselves. So you could argue the fact that if we did keep faith the same way Manchester United have kept faith with Ole, could we find ourselves in a better position? And they bought one player that has changed their fortunes.
How do you pronounce his name?
Bruno Fernandes has changed.
Bruno Fernandes.
Okay, I'm not Portuguese. Apologies, I got it right. Say Martin Odegaard. Say how you want it. I'm going to say Bruno has changed their fortunes. Hold on, let me finish.
Hang on, Ken.
Let me finish my point. One player, okay? One player who has also ignited the resurgence of someone like Paul Pogba when he's playing with him. We've signed someone like Thomas Partey, who KC says we've been missing for years and years and years. He's made Xhaka look better. He makes everyone look better. He makes the team look better. So perhaps with a little bit of patience and less instant gratification, maybe we could achieve the same goals. They did it with one player. These are facts.
Let me come in there, Soap. Hang on a minute, Ken. Mike, let's get your opinion on this, man, because you haven't said anything yet.
Have you ever heard me so quiet for such a long period of time? Man, those in the chat who don't know who I am, like they just think I'm just here to make up to be the good-looking guy on the panel. But honestly, to me, the Arteta in out thing. I mean, I came dangerously close to the precipice. Right before the holidays, when game after game it was Willian starting for no good reason, Luiz starting. But there are a lot of things that are going on, and I am very convinced, and I think this goes to a lot of what both Robbie and Kevin have said. I'm convinced that the bigger problems that we've had, more than talent, more than coaching and experience, have been chemistry. And it gets old me saying this all the time, but I'm not a tactical guy. I can't tell you whether this player versus that player. I mean, it passes the eye test to tell me that Willian should not be playing. But in other cases, I hold my hands up and say, look, I don't know. But what I do know is that team wasn't playing together. They weren't playing for anybody. They weren't playing for each other. They weren't playing for their coach. The more that we learn, and most of us on this panel have people who have told us off the record kind of what's been going on, and some of it may conflict. But we all have sources. We all know people behind the scenes, and there's no question that this dressing room was not unified. And is that Arteta's fault? Do you say that a more experienced manager, an Ancelotti or somebody else, could have come in and taken control of the dressing room more? I'm not so sure, because Mesut Ozil brand is bigger than just about any football club right now, which is why he had to go. I really don't know how much player versus coach affected our first 4 months of the season, because we had a bigger issue going on. And now we've cleared the vast majority of that out. And the players who remain, KT, Martinelli, Saka, many more examples of that, they're bought into the cause. They're all, Leno, they're all bigging up Arteta at this point. Ødegaard coming and saying that Arteta was the reason. Arteta has, for better or for worse, he has wrestled control of this squad back. And now it's time to see what he can do. It's not a free pass for some of the decisions that he's made in the first half of the season that left us in 15th place and wondering what was going on. He doesn't get a free pass for that, but I can't imagine calling for his head at this point. I came darn close to it a month ago, but I can't imagine calling for his head.
Mike, and
given all the background. Yeah, Rob.
Go on, Robbie.
Mike, just to say, right, as well, right, like a lot of the decisions, players, some very harsh decisions that, I'm just looking back at things now, and some very harsh decisions that he's made, right, since the start of the season. And now we're all looking at and thinking, actually, they were right. Guendouzi was causing problems. He sent him out on loan. We didn't all agree with it at the time.
Now he's causing problems again.
The Saliba thing, I'm thinking to myself, come on, why is Saliba not playing? But we're not there watching him week in, week out. The kid's gone out on loan now. He's looking happy. He's playing well. And they're saying he will be back. And now he's getting his game time, right? The Ozil, Socrates thing that felt very uncomfortable, the way those guys have just been completely, had no chance to play. Now they're gone. Now, if they had been playing, Ozil wouldn't have left if he'd been playing. He would have waited until the end of the season. He wouldn't have left. So he had a plan regarding those things. They were hard to do. And you've got to say, at the moment, they're kind of all working out, but it's still a long way to go. It's still a long way to go. But I think I'm looking on it, I'm like, it looks to me like he's stamping his authority on the team. And he's saying, right now, that those guys have moved on. Now, this is the second part of the if you want to call it the process.
Yeah, and
part of it. And that's how I'm looking on it. I'm saying, right, we have to remain a bit patient here and see what he's going to do. But to just assume that this team is good enough to get into the top four, it's not yet. It's not. Yeah.
I would have to 100% agree with that.
If he does do that, he would have overachieved. Let's be real right now, Kenny Ken. Let's be real.
Just players alone, not even including the chemistry issues that were going on. That the first half of the season was going to be a struggle, and he doesn't get a free pass for that. But I think you can at least say that to let him start next season with a transfer window behind him, hopefully some control and influence over the players that are brought in and the further ones that are let go. At this point, it's his team to either rise or fail with. It didn't get the sense that it was his team to do that with in the fall because there were too many outside influences in the way.
100%. Guys, we have other guests that are waiting in the wings to come on. Sophie, thank you so much. Sophie, how can people come and follow yourself and KC?
Yes, you can follow us at Highbury Squad on Twitter, and also check out our YouTube channel. If you like us, fantastic. If you don't, that's fine. We'll always still be friends no matter what. And I'm at Soccer Diva on Twitter as well. And we're about to go on air in about 10 minutes. And we have our weekly Super Kevin Campbell, Kevin Says segment, where he throws out questions to our listeners and they get to ask him whatever they want. So thanks for having us. We always appreciate the support from you guys, and it's been fun. Thanks for having me. I appreciate the invitation.
Thanks, Dan, Robbie, Kenny, Ken, Big
Good
Mike.
to see you boys as well. Big Mike, Kenny,
Take
Ken,
care.
Robbie.
Always
thanks so
nice
much.
debating you guys.
Like to meet you. Can I just say
Take
something
it
before
easy.
you go? Can I just
Go on,
say
Kate.
one
Go
more
on,
thing before
Kenny.
you go? Because I know you're very busy. Let's remember that at the start of the season, he was promoted from head coach to team manager. So he had quite a lot of influence on what went on the dressing room. Mike, just thought I'd let you go with that.
There we go.
Not
So
on
when you
chemistry,
say
on
that he didn't have
on
that
personnel, but not on
influence,
chemistry. So.
Legend, enjoy Highbury Squad. Everyone get over and watch Sophie on Highbury Squad, and Casey.
Take care,
top man as
everyone.
always.
See you guys.
Take care. We're going to bring a couple of guests on now. We have had patiently waiting in the wings the lovely Jess. Jess. Hey, there she is. How you doing, Jess?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm very well. Absolute pleasure. Twice in 1 week. Amazing. How are you, man?
I'm good. How's everybody else?
Jess, we've been on like 5 podcasts together in the
calm
last
down.
2 weeks. It's always good to be with you.
They've calmed down a bit now, I think. I think it's calmed down. It's getting heated in here, but we're going to invite Albert in as well. Albert,
Well, that's
how
the
you
reason why
doing,
you
my
had me
friend?
on, Dan.
Over there,
You had
mate.
me on to bring some heat on there.
I was going to
Ken,
get
I
some
need-
popcorn, man. I was enjoying it
Yeah,
backstage, man.
I bet everyone's backstage enjoying it, 100%.
Kenny Ken's a troublemaker. You know what I mean? He'll come in.
Come, you know me for years, Robbie. You know the score, mate. Come on, you know this sort of like Kingsman shit that you have a lot on podcasts. It's so boring.
Unbelievable. Man, you know it. Listen, I've got 2 more guests I need to bring in because we have run over time and they've got to go in another podcast at 9 o'clock. We have Mr. Ben Wiley. Ben, how you doing, bro?
Hi, mate. You all right?
I'm very good, thanks, man. And we have Max from Ask Brothers. Max, how you doing, my friend?
Good, mate. I came out of a football retirement last night at the ripe age of 36, and I've done a right calf and a left hamstring.
Oh, Jesus Christ, man.
You got to be careful with that left hamstring when you're on a podcast.
Mate, the left hamstring was in goal. I went in goal because I'd done my quad.
Oh, man, really? What is all that about? Max, before I go any further, I want you and Ben to both promote what you're going to be doing at 9 o'clock before we move on. Go for it, Max.
Mate, so I thought after listening to so many podcasts and everyone's sort of not like agendas. I don't want to say it's agendas, right? But your Mesut Ozil in or your Mesut Ozil out. That's the way everyone is. Life is like politics at the moment. The truth probably exists somewhere in the middle, but we fight for the small scraps on the ends of the extremities. So I thought, let me go get 2 extremities. So I got Manny Riz, who is the extreme of Mesut Ozil out on one end, and I've got Ben, who's the extreme of Mesut Ozil is a god on the other end. And we're actually going to have a structured debate. So we're going to have, there's 5 questions. They've got 5 minutes each to monologue their questions. We're going to give them a bit of space afterwards to have a go at each other. We've got a couple of rules: no politics, no name calling, and swear at each other as much as you want, as long as it's all in good and fair banter, Dan. So it's going to be a good show. We're going to kick off straight after yours.
It will be a good one.
Better than Ben when it comes to the. I mean, from what I've seen in our WhatsApp chat, he'll do a fervent backup.
Ben's still crying, man. He's still got Mesut Ozil tears. You know what I mean? He really has. He's got Mesut Ozil tears.
No.
So please make sure you go over to Ask Brothers. It's not that bad. Please make sure you go over to Ask Brothers straight away from this. Robbie, I know you have to leave at 9. Last word's going to be with you, man. How positive should we be looking at things as far as Arsenal are concerned in the league this season?
It's going to be tough. We've got a tough month coming up, but I'm feeling. I mean, I was very infused by that performance last night, and I'm really looking forward now to that game against Man United. And if we could get some sort of result there, but I think let's just keep our expectations. I know Kenny Ken and me were firing at that, but I still look on it and I say we don't have the team yet to compete. I hope that we can start molding that in the summer. But I am excited to see Odegaard. I'm excited of the profile of the type of players. I mean, I love Saka and those young, hungry players. they're going to be the key to where we finish. Excuse me, by the end of this season. It's those young, hungry players, Saka, Smith Rowe. You know, they're the driving force right now. So I'm looking forward to the rest of the season. I couldn't say a bit like Mike was saying earlier, man. Kind of leading up to Christmas, I was like, yo, I wish the season could finish right now. But now I'm looking forward to the rest of the season, and I'm not pushing my expectations too high. But I think the time to judge Arteta is going to be next season. I feel that, you know, this summer window is going to be very important. I want to see him then start constructing a team that can challenge to first step, get into the top 4, and then challenge for the league. That's the ultimate here. And that's what I was saying earlier. When I look to the Cronkies over the years, I've always been, what is your plan? Because you can look at the guys at Liverpool, Man City, Chelsea, even Leicester. They got a long-term plan to win the league. And I've just always looked at the Cronkies and thought, you just got a long-term plan to survive and make money and to get around the top 4. Now, the ambition has to be, this is what every football fan, whether you're an Arsenal fan has, the ambition has to be to win the thing, win the league, right? Compete to win the league. And, you know,
but that has to come from the club, though.
Exactly.
This thing where fans have to be, just, you know, and supporters and podcasters and bloggers and regular people who aren't so egotistical like the rest of us to have to be podcasters and stuff. We're not going to change the results on the pitch. So this thing about, you know, oh, you're willing to accept 8th, are you? You know,
you're spot on, Mike. It's not about.
It drives me absolutely crazy that you know there's this constant us versus them situation in the fan base that, you know, if you don't want more and if you don't express your wanting more in the form of, you know, this guy out or this make changes or this isn't good enough, you know, you're toxically positive or you don't have any kind of ambition, and it's ridiculous. We all want this club to win every trophy every single year.
Yeah,
It doesn't mean we're gonna lose our minds if it doesn't happen and try to, you know, we don't control what happens on the pitch as much as we'd like to admit it. We actually have no influence on it. Stan Kroenke's not going to change and suddenly put a team of Galacticos on the pitch just because, you know, podcasters A, B, and C want that to happen. So
yeah,
even more so without crowds, guys. Even more so because the only way you could ever have any influence was with your feet. So you remove the crowds now, and you remove any form of fan pressure outside of, you know, 6 dickheads on a podcast talking about football.
Actually, yeah,
yourself, Max.
The thing is about it, right, is that I don't think we realised, right, how much of a mess Arsenal's been in off the pitch, right? I mean, during that pandemic, I could not believe what I was seeing at Arsenal, right? I didn't see any other club like getting the press, you know, the redundancy thing, the timing of that, the Gunnersaurus thing, the pay cut thing. We were in an absolute mess. It's been a lot for Arteta, I think, off the pitch to sort out. So I just want to see things get now things are kind of leveling off.
Tim Lewis is our savior then.
You know, certain players have left, certain things are stabilizing. Now let's try and get in those players that can help to compete for the league. Right, and then we can, you know, because the clubs that are successful in the Premier League are all the ones that are very well organised. Leicester, very well organised club. Man City, well organised. Liverpool, right? Whereas you look at a club like United, I know they're top of the league, spent loads of money, but off the pitch a mess, and that's why they haven't won the league for so long, because they've had the players. So I just want to see. You know, I just want to see, now that things are calmed down, I want to see, you know, let's get through to the end of the season, finish as high up as we can, try and do well in the Europa League. But next season is going to be,
and we do reset that clock a lot, and it doesn't go without saying that, you know, every couple of years we're like, well, the next transfer window is going to make the most difference, and we need to give this guy another year. We do that a lot, but that there's something called the sunk cost fallacy where you can. If you're going to get mad over the last 6 times we've reset the clock, then you're not focusing on this time, and this time's the only one that matters. So,
fair play. Listen,
well,
Robbie,
thank
you so much for coming on, man.
Thank you, Lee. Where did you go?
Good to see you, Robbie.
Judges went for a bath.
Hey, well,
He's come back.
Kenny Ken's internet, he took my internet because it just crashed when Kenny Ken came on. Like, so,
Man, you know that's
can't
how
believe
it
it.
is.
Yeah,
Seriously,
crashed
Robbie,
me,
top
I
man.
tell you, like.
Really appreciate
Thank
you
you very
coming
much.
on, Rob.
Cheers,
You
Rob.
take care, man.
Thank you.
Cheers, Robbie.
See you later, Rob. Take care, man. Let's get somebody else in and then we do some introductions. It's Bearded Gooner. Tanner, how you doing, my friend? Oh, you're on mute.
Tanner.
You look happy, but you're on mute.
Some professional podcaster there.
Professional.
Come on, mate. I don't get paid for this. I'm not professional. So
Stupid Yank.
settle down there, fella.
Goddamn Yanks.
Staring at a firing squad here. Jesus.
Man, I'll tell you what, it was getting heated and there was some popcorn in the back. Do you know what, Mike? I'm going to come to you before you go. I want you to tell us a story, Mike, because I was really impressed the other week when we were speaking about your claim to fame in your press conference with Unai Emery. So please, the floor's yours.
Oh shit! You want me to tell the whole story going back to the press conference?
Keep it as brief as you can because I want to bring Ben and Max in before they go.
Okay. We were doing media for the summer tour when they came to the U.S. last summer in Denver, in L.A., and we were part of the we of all people talking about name dropping. So we were in the press conference, and everyone's putting their phones up on the counter next to Unai Emery, and so I just follow and completely forgot that I had an alarm set on my phone for 3 p.m. to eat soup because I was on this diet at the time that involved having like a add water to powder type of 100-calorie soup at the time. So yeah, if you go back and watch the press conference the night before the Bayern Munich game in July, you'll see me sheepishly going up and removing my phone and having Granit Xhaka look like he wanted to kill me. And to this day, I cannot get that reminder off of my phone that tells me to eat soup at 3 o'clock every week. So I have the soup right here. I'm a little late with it, and I'm clearly not on that diet anymore. But yeah, we had a good laugh about that on our pod last week with Dan and Canton and Owen. So the hardest I've laughed on a podcast for probably a year or two. We did one with Kenny and Ola and Judges about 2 years ago during an interlude that was probably just about the same, but that was a good time. And we do that kind of pod, and then we do another kind of pod like we're doing tomorrow with Ian Dark, more of an interview-based pod. We'll have him on at 6 o'clock UK time tomorrow. So if you can tune into that, we'll be talking to him about how despite having no hair on his head, Lee still has to scratch it constantly.
Mike, absolute pleasure having you on, my friend. Please, everyone.
Thanks for having me on. Glad I got into worded edgewise. So take care, guys.
Cheers, Mike. You take care, buddy.
Bye, Mike.
Max and Ben. Max, let's come to you second. Ben, we'll start with you. Mesut Ozil was gone. The tears are now wiped away. In all seriousness, is Ødegaard going to be a signing that you think could potentially replace Mesut Ozil, or are we going to miss him, Ben?
Well, you look at the run of form before Christmas with no number 10. If only we'd had someone in there, we might have picked up a few more points. But even me, Ozil's biggest fan, I'm glad that it's all over, to be honest. It's been getting rice on my tits as much as everyone else. But Ødegaard, I'll wait and see. I'm not one to watch YouTube compilations, so I can't say I've seen too much of him. But we'll wait and see how he gets on. Hopefully, it will work.
Good man. I know you're a massive fan. I don't want to spoil it too much for the debate that it's going to be on Ask Brothers. I really recommend you go and watch that. It is going to get heated. All of you on this channel know how heated Manny can get. This is going to be fun, trust me. Max, last word with you before you head over to do that podcast, mate. What do you make of the window so far? And are you expecting anything good from Arsenal the rest of the season?
Look, I think that we're most likely going to finish between 6th and 8th. I think there's hard games coming up. I think there's still deficiencies in the squad. I still think there's issues at number 8. I don't think that there's a huge history historically of anyone coming in on a 6-month deal and making that much of a difference to a football team. Basically, if you're not bringing someone in from a premiership-ready club with premiership experience, it's very unlikely they're going to have the sorts of impact that people are expecting to see. Does it bolster the squad? Fantastic. I just refuse to get really, really excited about it. I'm happy that it's a small loan fee. It's not like a 10 million, but I can see another, to coin a phrase, a Suarez Mark II coming in. You know, we'll just rename him Dennis and get on our way. On Mesut Ozil, mate, it honestly, it feels like with Mesut, like I'm an elderly person lying on their deathbed, the best years of my life behind me, wasting away. And it turns out, like in my youth, that there was a serial killer. And just before I die, someone says, we got him. We got him. And I'm like, well, that's great, because now I'm dead. That's how I feel about Mesut Ozil.
So you certainly won't miss him then, Max. Max, absolute pleasure. Ben, absolute pleasure. Please make sure you go and follow these guys on the Arse Brothers. Absolutely superb podcast. It's certainly different to this one and has a certain spice and kick to it, I would say. And that's probably being polite, Max. Both of you enjoy yourself on our Ozil debate. And it's been great to have you both on. You take care of yourselves.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.
Cheers, boys.
Tanner and Jess. Let's start with Jess. She's been waiting very, very patiently. Jess, transfer window. What are you hearing over your way? Because I always like to ask what people's rumours are hearing. That you've got quite a lot around left backs. I was seeing the other day on Twitter. We were talking about the Martin Odegaard on our channel the other week. Do you think that there's going to be much happening in the next few days, or do you think our business is pretty much done?
No, unless there's like a surprise person leaving. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if somebody like Maitland-Niles went quickly at the end of the window, you know, but in terms of incomings, I don't really see that happening because what we're looking at left backs, I think Bertrand might just be using us to try to get Southampton to give him a better deal. I'm not sure if that's actually, he wants to leave, and I'm not sure that that's the right deal for us anyway. We heard about Mitchell, like he would probably be the better left back option, you know, if we were looking to bring somebody in, but I don't really know what his contract situation looks like at Crystal Palace. So I wouldn't be surprised if this was it, you know, but I wouldn't count out maybe somebody surprising leaving the club in January.
Wouldn't surprise me at all if there's more outgoings, just 100%. Albert, let's bring you in, man. Seems like a kind of crazy window as always, the transfer window. But this one, it seems like there's more of a plan to me. I think that we were already looking at Odegaard. We looked at Matt Ryan, and that was snapped up pretty quick. Have you been impressed?
You know, it's been a long time coming, Dan. I think for the last I think Bearded Gunner touched on it earlier. Every transfer window I look at over the last 6 years, I always look at who's going to leave the club first as opposed to who's coming in, because we get too caught up in bringing a Koulibaly and bringing a Havertz in, bringing in this star player. But we need to let go of the players first who haven't cut the mustard at Arsenal for years, that have contributed to the mediocrity. So we've always had we've had a big window coming up, but actually, you know, not the one coming up after the January one is going to be a massive one, because obviously we shifted some of the guys already this January. I was shocked the Mesut Ozil one got done as quick as it did, because I did think that was going to go and run to the end of the season. So yeah, for once I can probably confidently turn around and say, mate, I'm looking forward to the window after this one. It's been I didn't expect to see a lot of signings coming in, mate, to be fair. Matt Ryan came out of absolutely nowhere. I mean, the first I heard about that in terms of a rumour was probably before we kicked off against, I think it was Newcastle. When someone put it in the chat, one of the podcasts, I was like, it's a good shout. Premier League experience, 28, decent goalkeeper, good number 2. I wasn't too convinced we would get a creative player in the window, if I'm honest, mate. And I'm not going to fall into the trap of the YouTube clip, because I did that. A lot of us did that with Pepe, and yeah, we know what happened with that. But no, Odegaard, Dan, to be honest, mate, I don't know anything about the kid. I wasn't going to jump on the bandwagon of going on Twitter and, you know, throwing at the bunting. And if you see the clips, I get why the Arsenal fans would be excited, because he's the type of player that we don't have. Mm-hmm. He's got good technical ability. We can see that. But whether he's going to quickly adapt to the Premier League is another question. Mm-hmm.
Isn't this a great shout? Lee Judges, let's come to you. You keep coming in and out. Now you're with us. This is all good. Mate,
Kenny ruined my internet.
Oh, no, he's ruined your internet. And Kenny's dropped out now as well. And I've just texted him, and God knows what's happening with his Wi-Fi. This is the love of technology. Lee, I'm going to ask you this, right? I had this put to me today. Would you rather, looking forward now, right? Forget this window. Looking forward to what we're all excited about. Would you rather in the summer sign Jack Wilshere and nobody else, or would you rather sign a centre back? Jack Grealish, sorry. I meant Grealish, sorry.
Your internet's going bad.
Did I say Wilshere? I meant Grealish. Give me a break, right? I've been on for 2.5 hours. Jack Grealish and only Jack Grealish, or would you rather get a partner for Gabriel, a partner for Thomas Partey, and an upgrade on Lacazette?
You bang out of order asking me that.
Ask me after you ask him. Ask me. I want to answer.
Ask all three of you. Go on, Lee. You first.
Because you know how much I love.
I know
Jack,
you do.
Jack Wilshere. Even me saying it now, Jack Grealish. You know how much I love Jack.
Crack, Jack.
That's the gaffer. Go on.
I'll tell you what. As much as I love Jack Grealish, I would have to go down the route of a central defender, midfielder, and a striker. Three players, but I do love Jack. You've got me saying it now, Jack Grealish. But
Jack Grealish. No,
I'm going to go down. Look, listen. I think we're 3 players away from being a really decent side. So if you're going to ask me to go down that route, I'm going to have to say the 3 players. Sorry, Jack.
I love Jack Grealish as well.
He was awesome today, but they still lost.
They still lost.
Burnley.
Still lost.
But
I agree with you, man. I think we need that spine. We've already bought a spine, but we need a spine on top of that spine, if that makes any sense. I would rather have that than Jack Grealish. Jess, let's come to you.
Yeah. So as much as I love Jack Grealish, like I'm definitely a part of Jack Grealish FC. I think after yesterday's game, we have to consider the fact that we have such a strong left-handed side. If you add Pepe to that, and that's where Jack Grealish would play. He plays off of the left-hand side, likes to play in that left half space. So I think we're good in that position. I think, in terms of like Odegaard, like I'm hoping that works out and we're able to keep him a little bit longer. So then we get a partner for Thomas Partey, we get a center back, and then I think we need somebody else on the right-hand side. I don't even think we need a striker. We have Aubameyang, we have Lacazette, hopefully we keep Balogun, and we still have Martinelli. So really for me, it's leave Jack Grealish where he is and bring in a center back, somebody for Thomas Partey to play with, somebody like Basuma, and somebody on the right-hand side, probably like Buendia, to switch to play instead of Saka sometimes. I think they'd be nice players to kind of like switch and share time. That's what I would do.
Do you know what? I'm going to totally agree. I think personally, I'll come to you, Albert. Basuma and Buendia for me would be 2 good signings. A lot of people are saying they're not quality enough. They're not good enough. Everybody said that when Liverpool signed Andrew Robertson from Hull. And now look at him. Wijnaldum from Newcastle. So I don't think it's always about where the players are currently playing. It's about whether they suit the style. Would you be happy with, let's say, an Upamecano, a Basuma, and a Buendia over just a Jack Grealish?
I would personally, I absolutely love Jack Grealish, love him. But what I think for me as well, Dan, I think one position that I've always banged on about is a right back position. I know Bellerin's a hot topic of conversation on social media, but for me, my thoughts on him defensively and offensively, I don't think he's good enough. And I thought that before the ACL, by the way, just to get that in. So I would drive to Brighton tomorrow and bring Tariq Lamptey to Arsenal. I know Brighton have offered that 5-year contract, but they've done that for a reason, Dan, mate, because obviously they know, it's not, they've done that at Lewis Dunk at the start of the season because they want to warn off or, put a bit more price on the tag. But yeah, Tariq Lamptey, Basuma, and I think with Basuma and Thomas Partey, just to add those 2 together, Dan, like people, I think, get a bit fixated that they're midfield destroyers. No, they're more than that. I thought when Basuma played against us, I think 3 days after Boxing Day, I thought he was excellent.
Yeah.
He doesn't just play sideways passes. He looks forward. He's physically imposing. If you gave me Lamptey, Basuma, and a cheaper version of Jack Grealish, like an Berriese at Palace, who went to Palace, who for me does exactly what Jack Grealish does, but is like £60 million cheaper. But we
keep Granit Xhaka.
No,
good question. I obviously would not, but.
Jess, would you buy or sell? You got the option
of who?
Granit Xhaka. I think he's done well the last few games.
I think the thing with Xhaka is that like now we're seeing with a better partner, he's a decent player, and I don't love him for like long term, but I think we have bigger issues than him at the moment. So if you brought in Basuma and him and Basuma and Party were, kind of like our midfield options in that position, I wouldn't be opposed to it. And let's be real, you guys, Arteta loves Xhaka. So I don't think he's going to be the first person on Arteta's chopping block, especially if Arteta is, managing the transfers with Edu. So I think we're probably going to have to put that one on the back burner, just get somebody like Basuma in. I would keep him and let him be a rotational option because we're going to lose El Neni, right? Maybe El Neni and Ceballos. So we're not going to be able to fill in all those positions at once. So I'd rather get Basuma and let Xhaka fall back than get rid of Xhaka and have to get Basuma and somebody else, if that makes sense.
I think it does make sense. And I'll bring this one in as well because Lee Judges is going to agree with me here. Rob Holding, I'll start with you, Lee. Rob Holding and Granit Xhaka are two examples of me of what we need in our squad, but not in our first 11. And I would also go as far as to say that when El Neni does come on, when we're 2-0 up against a team or 3-1 up like last night, I'm cool with that. He's going to keep the ball. He's going to keep it simple. We're not going to see anything silly from him. That's a fine squad player to bring on. But what we want to see is not those players playing week in, week out. And that's what I think Granit Xhaka and Rob Holding have done of late. And as great as they've been, or as good as you like them, or as much as you hate them, I don't see them as the long-term future of Arsenal personally. Lee Judges.
No, I agree with what Jess is saying there. Xhaka would be a good backup option to another midfield player and keep him there. I agree with that. And it's the same with Rob Holding. Rob Holding would be a good backup to whoever you're going to get in whoever that'll be, another top-class central defender. And I think that I'll say someone like with El Neni, listen, we got him for £5 million. He does exactly what a £5 million player does. I think he's done okay for us over the last couple of years. If you look at it in terms of that, his value for him has been fantastic. And I'll tell you what now, while I've seen him play, all right, he ain't going to do it. But I'll tell you what, a team would take him now for about 10 million. We'll actually make money on him after him doing us a fairly decent job. So I don't see a problem of selling him, maybe selling Willock. I think we're going to have to sell Maitland-Niles because it doesn't look like he's going to get in a position. So then you've got a little bit of money to go and buy that 30-40 million pound player that we need, plus hopefully a bit of finance from the board for another one or two. And I think that's a good thing to do. We've got Guendouzi that I think is a year left on his contract. If it's not going to work out, we've got to be ruthless and say, yep, he's got to go. The same with Lacazette. I know, like Jesse's saying, we've got Lacazette, but if he's going to go into the year of his contracts, either we have to sell him or give him another contract. I would then say, right, okay, let's he's 30, 31. We've got to be a little bit more ruthless with our players so that we can get some money in to go and buy maybe a Haaland from Dortmund. You know what I mean? Break the bank for somebody like that. If you've got 30, 40, 50 million pound on players that are not going to be playing all the time, and we can go and get that star striker or that star midfield player, I think these are the things that we've got to do.
I think we have I was just going to say, I think we have a better chance of selling Nketiah than we do getting rid of Lacazette at this point.
100%.
Yeah, Lacazette is going to run his deal down. I would probably put money on that. He's not going anywhere. He's going to run his deal down. So when you say be more ruthless, I would say be more ruthless with Nketiah or Nketiah, however you pronounce it. If somebody
Eddie.
Eddie's easier. Tyler, I'm going to bring you in.
That's a great point. He needs to go as well. I agree. Totally agree with that. Be ruthless.
Yeah. Myself and Judges have said if we can get someone in for him, then I would accept it. Sonny's in the chat. Sonny's got a question. Good evening to you, Sonny. Tyler, let's put this one to you. Would you sell Saka for £150 million? I do not want that guy to leave Arsenal ever. I love him.
Boy, you're not even going to let me warm up to it, man. You're just going to right off the bat. Jesus.
When? Now?
I gotta
right this moment?
Dip my toe in the water here.
I would sell.
Go ahead, Lee. Go ahead. I want to hear what you have to say. Go ahead.
Do you know what? I'm going. Listen. I'm a massive fan of Saka. Brilliant player. £150 million. It's a little bit like the Coutinho one at Liverpool. And look what happened to them. It turned them around from being also runs to great. If it could mean that we could get Jack Grealish, we could get a central midfield player and a central defender for that, then I'm taking it. I'm afraid, and I'm a big Saka fan. 155 million though.
and a pound.
150 million and
155. I'm not taking that. You know what I mean? And a pound.
Just
That's a tough question. Everybody's got to answer that now because
I'll answer quickly. I'll say no way. I love Saka. I'm not selling him for that. I think just keep the guy. I think it'll be silly to get rid of a player that's one of our own. Tanner, let's come to you next.
Right now, 150 million. Yeah, that's a lot of money, and it's really, really hard. I'm with Lee. I love him. Dan, I'm with you. I love the kid. I don't want to see him go. But somebody comes in and blows your doors off with that kind of an offer for a kid that probably right now isn't worth 150 million. Let's be honest. And they come in and they're buying potential at that price. But Lee, it's a real good point when you look at what Liverpool did with the Coutinho sale. You know, you've got to take some of that money. You've got to be able to invest that money back into 2, 3, maybe even 4 players. That money, you have to take that money and invest it wisely. But it's a lot of money to turn down. It's a lot of money to turn down. Jesus.
Yes. I'll let you come in on this one.
I mean,
it's tough.
If Bayern offered 150 like silly money for Saka, I'd really consider it, and I'd probably say yes in our situation because we. You know, pandemic, we don't really have owners that want to put a bunch of money in and all that kind of stuff. But like, I would hope that would be Martinelli versus Saka. Now, if you're talking about Martinelli, have him. But Saka, he's one of our own, so it's a little bit tougher. But yeah, silly money like that, you'd probably have to take it.
It's transformative.
I think the tempting thing is that you can get, like Lee Judges says, you get 2 or 3 players. I just hate selling our best players, man. We've done it for 5 years now. I want to keep hold of some of them. Albert, what's your take?
That's why I said Martinelli instead, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'd love to keep Saka, but Arsenal would bite your hand off to take him. Absolutely, for that amount of money, you could reinvest that into the squad. The only issue I'd have is Arsenal. You know, listen, off the field, we've not been the best at. You know, would you trust them to spend the money wisely?
Yeah,
and that's the issue you've got. It's all well getting the money, but what are they going to do with it?
You have to replace him.
Exactly.
We never replace like for like. Like when we got rid of Alexis Sanchez, as much as I love Aubameyang and Alexis Sanchez are not similar. You know, so we never replace, and that would be my issue is that you'd have to bring in somebody, a younger version of Saka where we can basically copy and paste the same thing. You know, it's like Saka's special, you know, but there's other players with similar qualities. You know, I wouldn't want to see them just hold on to it or blow it on somebody that we don't need. So I totally agree with you. Like, do we trust them to actually, you know, replace him or use the money wisely?
Or do you take that money and do you just, if it's 150, do you just take that 150 and go get one player and go find who's that one transformative player that you could bring in on 150 million and just, and you've got to look like just said, you have to look like for like. So who's that transformative player that's out there in the same position with the same skill set, the same profile that you can get for that kind of money? So you either do it on one player, you've got to do it on 2, 3, maybe 4.
So, sorry, Dan, you know what it comes down to as well?
You got to do it on 3 players. You have to do it on 3 players.
Yeah, do you know what it is as well? I think because we've, as a fan base, when we sort of look at other clubs, one thing that Arsenal haven't been for many, many years, mate, is ruthless. So me personally, Eddie Nketiah and Lacazette, they'd be gone.
Yeah.
Somebody else. That sounds harsh, but Arsenal have lost that ruthless streak that we've had many, many years ago, and we've not got it back. It's a culmination of different. It's a culmination of many different things, but we have lacked being ruthless, and that's one of the biggest issues.
Well, realistically, sorry. Go ahead, Dan.
No, go on, Jess. No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, realistically, at least one of them should have been gone already.
Yeah.
The fact that we're allowing both of them to run into the last year of their contract is bananas. Like we could potentially lose Lacazette and Nketiah and Balogun all for 0.
Yeah.
All of them. And that's criminal for a club of Arsenal size. Like we should be a lot smarter. So that irritates the crap out of me. Literally.
100%.
Yeah, Dan as well. Sorry, just a quick point, Dan. Sorry. We saying about like obviously trusting the board. I mean, you just have to look at when Sinelli was here. They done that famous interview with Laura Woods, and they made that statement. Anybody in the last 2 years of their contract, they're getting sold.
Look at this.
It's a lie.
It's unbelievable. I mean, don't you learn from this? Do you know what I mean? Like when they did the Saka and Martinelli situation, I thought, yeah, brilliant. They've learned their lesson here. New regime's come in. Saka and Martinelli, they've signed long term. Brilliant. Two of our best assets, 100%. And now we've got this situation with Lacazette, Eddie, Aubameyang again. Or I'm hearing the contract he signed. If we don't get top four, he actually leaves on a free transfer because that's in his contract. So if that's true, we ain't getting top four. So he's gone this summer for nothing again. So I look at this situation now and I'm thinking, we're not actually signing, we're not getting anything from these players. We've got in the last 5 years losing Sanchez, Cazorla, players like Van Persie and Fabregas, who we never ever wanted to see go for like peanuts, really. Ramsey, Welbeck, even. You know, I'm looking at the situation thinking, come on, man.
It's crazy.
Please make some money out of these players. So it's frustrating. It is.
I wouldn't be surprised, Dan. I wouldn't be surprised if Eddie goes on the last day or something. I wouldn't be surprised.
He has to. He has to in order for Balogun to sign that contract. And that's so important for us is we have to get this kid signed up. There's no, like, if he was a crap player, we wouldn't be wasting all this time going back and forth with him with his agent. Like, we have to get that sorted out. Like, and Nketiah has to go. Like, not in a rude way, but he literally needs to go to carve the path for Balogun, who's another young player that we can't afford to risk on a free.
Yeah, and they're represented by the same agency.
Yes, this is the issue. They both got the same agent. I think if we're going to lose, we are going to see some more outgoings. I'll be amazed if Mustafi is still here. I wouldn't be surprised if Maitland-Niles was to go and get first team football.
That's another one.
Does not want this kid here, clearly, which is a massive shame for me. And of course, the Eddie Nketiah situation. The one I will say that I think will definitely go on loan and hasn't been around the squad, let alone on the bench, the last few games is Reece Nelson. And I think that Reece Nelson has got something there, but it's not quite good enough at the moment for Arsenal, in my opinion. And I think that if he was to go on loan and do what Smith Rowe did at somewhere like Huddersfield, or even he has to go into the Premier League still, or lower leagues, go and play football, whether it's Norwich, whether it's Swansea, or whether it's Palace or West Ham, go and get in the first team and get a run of games and see what you can do. Joe Willock, I'd say the same too, but I think in midfield we're looking at potentially being a little bit short with a couple of knocks, so maybe he'll have to stay around for the place. Lucas Torreira looks like he's going to Monaco from what we're being told.
Is it a loan or is it permanent?
Might be permanent from what I'm being told. However, not sure on that, so don't quote me on it. Erdegaard's been given the number 11 shirt, which is Lucas Torreira's. So it looks like Lucas Torreira will be no more. Whether Atletico Madrid want him or not, which sounds like they don't, it looks like Monaco are interested in signing him. I was always a huge fan. Not a lot of people were. I actually like quite a player like that. I think he's
I liked him too.
Yeah, he's a horrible little ball terrier player. He at your ankles the whole time. He didn't have the stature and presence that I like personally in a midfielder, but I think for the role and job that he did, I liked him until Unai Emery decided to play him as a number 10. And then it went downhill from there.
He destroyed him.
That
He
kid,
destroyed him.
if you remember the summer we bought him, it was the World Cup 2018, and that kid was I was at the Derby at the Emirates in December of 2018 when he scored the fourth goal, and that I was losing my mind. I'm surprised somebody didn't turn around and smack me. I was going so nuts when he scored that goal. Seriously. Like I was so excited when we signed him after having watched the World Cup, and then to see he just fell off a cliff because of Unai Emery. And
there we go.
Disappointment.
Massively. Guys, before we do wrap this up, just want to go around quickly. Jess, what are your thoughts of Arsenal in the league this season? Is top 4 on? Is top 6 on? Are we going to get top half? What's your honest, realistic opinion of where we're heading?
Well, after beating Southampton, it's like they're pretty much the first team that we've beaten this season that's actually been in decent form, you know, so that gives me a little bit more confidence that maybe we're better than 10th place. You know what I mean? So I think with the way that the league is going, I don't think top 4 is achievable, not because we're a horrible team or anything like that, but just because those teams are not going to drop that many points. It's really the 4 above us, I feel like, that might drop the points, and we'll have to take points away from them because we're going to have to play them. So I would say between 6th and 8th is the best that we can do. But if I had to guess at the moment, I would say we're going to come between 8th and 10th. Not to be
I think
negative.
that is very realistic. I do. I think it's realistic. I just don't see this side getting top 4. Everyone keeps telling me we've only got 7 or 8 players. 7 or 8 players does not get you top 4. You need 25 if you want to get into the top 4 in this day and age, in my opinion. Albert, what's your take on things, man?
Dan, I said before the start of the season, Arsenal wouldn't get top 4. I said that they wouldn't get it even with the signing of Thomas Partey. And the main reason why I say it, Dan, I've said this a million times. I'm not bored of saying it. You know the documentary of Patrick Vieira and Roy Keane? And he interviewed Patrick Vieira and he asked him the same question about Wenger. He said, what was Wenger's biggest strength and weakness? And Vieira's had the same answer for both questions. He said, trust. Arteta's having the same issues with this group of players. And Arsenal fans need to ask themselves and be honest with themselves, do you trust these group of players to get you top 4? And I don't. That's why we're not going to get it.
I think that is absolutely spot on, mate. I think he is making the
good.
mistakes. It was, and it's the mistakes that we've been seeing Arsene Wenger make and keeping loyal to players like Bellerin, Xhaka, even Lacazette at times, who's been poor. I know he's been a lot better of late. So I'm totally 100% with you there, Albert. Tanner, let's come to you, man.
I think that this season has been so crazy that Arsenal might actually win the Super Bowl this year. That's how crazy it's like completely different. Like, who knows? Well, let's go win the World Series. I don't know. No, in all seriousness, it's been a topsy-turvy season. This is a season unlike anything I think I've ever seen. And would it shock me if we got top 4 a little bit? But I could almost see us backing into it because some of the other teams you just never know. Realistically, yeah, I think I'm with Jess on this, but I'm going to spread it out a little more, 6th to 10th, somewhere in there. But to Albert's point about trust, if there's any one person that Mikel Arteta is going to trust in this, from this point to the end of the season, it's himself. He has to trust himself. He's a good coach. Manager, jury's still out, but he's a good coach. And he needs to trust that and keep playing these young players because they're the ones that are going to buy into this. Enough with leaning on the old wily veterans. They haven't done the job for you. Rely on the youth because those are the guys that are buying into the system, that they're hungry and they're going to do the job for you. They're going to put in the shift. But I'd say 6th to 10th, but who knows?
Fair play. Before I ask lead judges, I'm going to thank the 3 of you before I let you go. Thank you all so much for coming on, and particularly you 3 for waiting so long. And I do apologize that we overrun. There were so many people trying to get on, and it got very heated when Kenny Ken came on. So thank you guys very much. Jess, let's start with you by thanking you. How can people follow you on Twitter and on your YouTube channel?
Yeah, guys, you can follow me at It's Jessinho. It's right there on the screen. And then I also do shows with the lovely Tanner. He's down there at the bottom. We have some projects that we work on together. And She Knows Arsenal is actually going to have a live post-match show at 10 p.m. UK tonight. So I guess once Dan lets y'all go and you guys don't have anything else to do, and you want to keep talking about Arsenal, come over to the Bearded Gooners channel and I'll be live on there talking about our Southampton win. So that's how you can find me.
You heard it. You heard it from the lady. Make sure everyone in the chat, 614 of you watching, make sure all those 614 of you go and follow Jess over on the Bearded Gooners channel. Jess, absolute pleasure. And we will speak to you very, very soon, darling. Thank you for coming on.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Albert, absolute hero as ever, man. Albert JTV, how can people come and follow you, bro?
Dan, always a pleasure. Just want to say, judges, I've met you a few times, but because you're so famous, mate, you probably don't remember.
I do, of course I do. Like, don't be silly, like, you know what I mean? You're out of all. You're bang out of all to saying that, Albert.
No, much love, judges, man.
No, I love you too, man. Like, you okay?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good, doing all right, mate.
Putting you in that mad group of ours, like, why? You can never leave now. You can never leave. You've done it.
No, it's all good, man. It's a good group chat, man.
Trust me. We're seeing about 6 months' time whether you're saying exactly the same thing, like, you know what I mean?
No, I'm good. I'm there, man, for life. But no, Dan, always a pleasure, mate. Thanks, mate. You're my bro, man. For Albert JTV, Arsenal content, football content related, come and subscribe. My Twitter handle's there, AUMO57.
There we go. Make sure you go and follow Albert. Great content, great podcast as always. Albert, top man for coming on. Really appreciate it, mate.
Take care, guys.
Cheers, Albert.
Tanner, we got you on finally, man, and the Wi-Fi was all god. The power was up and down. I'll tell you two tonight. What's going on with your power? I'll tell you that. Anyway.
I think it's when you had someone in there, it just went off. I think that's what it was to do with.
I think you're right. I think you are right. I think it did struggle. Yours was. I was trying to add you and submit you back in, judges, but it didn't work. But Tanner, thanks for coming on, man.
Man.
Same old Arsenal USA, Bearded Gooner channel. Go follow Tanner. Always active on Twitter and always a great guy to have on a podcast, mate. Thank you so much for coming on, man.
Man, pleasure's all mine. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Man.
Lee, good to see you.
Yeah,
Hope you're well, man.
You too, mate. So take care, yeah?
Speak to you soon, bro. Take care, man.
Thanks for having me on, guys. See ya.
Lee, we've done it. We got through everybody.
You've done a fantastic job. I'm going to say that now. Fantastic job. It was hard work when it got a little bit heated, but you know, my internet went down. I was thinking to myself, thank God for that. You know what I mean? Because that was tough. But, great. I've got to say thanks to everybody that's come on, all the guests. Made it a really good evening, and you know, especially in lockdown when there's not great things on at the moment. Even if you ain't watching it live, you can watch it during the day or whatever, or one evening when you're bored. It was really good. So, and I was watching it when I couldn't get on. It was quite good. I've got to say, it was good. It was good. I'll tell you what, and this is the thing about podcasts and things like that. You meet some great people, not just like the ones that we know, like people that from America. And places like that, and they're just as passionate and knowledgeable as we are. It's fantastic, isn't it, to see that? Like, you know,
brilliant. This is what I love about the Arsenal family, man. I know we all fall out and we all love each other, hate each other at times because it gets so passionate and so heated. But we all want one thing, and that's Arsenal to do well. So the idea,
you know, I mean, we all want it in different ways. You know, some people moan about it. Some people.
I do sometimes.
Yeah, I do sometimes. Some people will moan at the board, you know, and blame the board. They won't, and other people will blame the manager. Some will play the players. At the end of the day, it's all opinions, and everybody's opinion is right. And I always say this: all opinions are right. All opinions are that because it's your opinion. And the greatest thing about it is you can come and share your opinion on here. And I have to say, big up to Craig because Craig's never worried about. How many followers you've got and things like that. If you've got an opinion and you want to come on and say something, you know, you're more than welcome. And I think that's a great thing. And we're very fortunate. We've got a good panel of guests that come on, and that today, you know, like that little family of all those different podcasts and all that, like, you know, are fantastic. You know, and for me, all my favourites are on there tonight. So it was great.
I have to say, I'm a huge fan of everybody that's come on tonight, and I say a huge thank you to everybody. Some of you's Wi-Fi was better than others. I must admit, yet again, Ken. But yeah, I tried my best to get everybody on, and as many people as I could with opinions, and I hope I gave everybody the right contribution. I felt a bit sorry for you, Lee, so apologies, man, falling out and coming back on. I was trying to get you in as much as I could, mate. It was very hard at times. I just got one last thing, which is this super chat here, which is unity a lost cause in the fan base? Well, listen, I think tonight has proven that everybody has a opinion, and we all want one thing. I want to just say a huge thank you to you, Lee, as well, because your contacts and networks are superb. We always have got on well, and I think that we've always managed to get the right guests on shows, and we've done Friday night shows, midweek shows, as well as the Monday night with Craig. Huge thanks to Craig for letting me have this platform to have my own opinion and to get guests on, and a huge thank you to you both. Everybody in the chat, I mean, wow, there was over 800 of you at one stage watching live. That's absolutely fantastic.
Well, that's fantastic, and I've got to say, Dan, you know, you're doing a great job, and it's been a pleasure to get to know you over this last sort of year and so. And we've become good mates, haven't we? Like, you know,
yeah, lovely, mate.
And that's what it's all about, you know. Like, I've only met Craig once, you know what I mean, but like, I feel like he's a mate through the internet and things like that. And you know, meeting everybody, you know, I always say the thing that I do now, the gift that I've had is I've been able to interact with so many Arsenal fans, and that is a gift. And not only that, I've made great friends, and my fan base has widened because of it. And that is the greatest thing about all this.
I couldn't agree more, mate. And I'll pick up on one last thing you said. And before I do that, Dad, thank you, mate. Great podcast, Dan. That was brilliant. Bringing some
biased there, Mr. Stevie Potts, are we?
A little bit biased, but I'll take it. But no, thanks, Dad. And thanks to everyone.
He's a lovely guy as well, like, you know what I mean? Pleasure to know him as well, like, you know, so a big gooner as well.
He is a huge gooner, and a lot of praise in the chat for both of us and everyone that came on. Really appreciate you all in the chat. Thanks for helping us support us do what we do and what we love. Lee, thank you very much, mate. I think we're going to be back. We've done it, mate. We've done it. We've done it. And thank you. We're going to be back on Friday night for a Man United preview because we got them at the weekend. And hopefully by then we'll have a couple more signings, fingers crossed. Let's hope something happens towards the end of the window. Until then, guys, thank you very much. And up the Arsenal.